Show me your moves.
And good evening again. We're trying this from the top. Good evening, content consumers, and welcome to another episode of Geek Life. I'm the host. You know me. I'm to the dot. I stream. I do podcasts. Blah 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 blah. We did the post-apocalypse stuff. How are you doing? If you want to check out how we're doing, check out the stream beforehand. But we've got with us here Jake the Great. How are you doing today, Jake? Did you like that abbreviated intro?
Yeah, no, I thought that was really good. Zoom through it, let them know.
Right. You know.
A little bit of the show, but now we're getting to the meat and potatoes.
Right. We're trying to go right to the meat and potatoes, but I'm trying to make it so that everybody knows who everybody is here that started from the beginning and just saw that intro. So Caper Doodle, you're also here, the man that was behind the curtain, but now I'm also the man that is in front of the curtain and behind the curtain at the same time. So. Yes, I do want to do that. This is going to be a fun one, guys.
Yeah, you know, you feel how it's kind of feeling too. But the thing is, we're getting better at it. You know, we really, truly are, and I really think it's good. I think we're doing good.
Yeah.
We're doing all good.
Thank you guys so much for sticking with us, those that did. We are all trying very hard. But yeah, so before we get started, well, let me get started. Before we get started, a quick reminder to everybody that if you like what you see or hear can everybody hear us? Only Dodd's audio is possible to hear. Okay. Cool. So, let's see.
Let's test. Let's see. Oh, okay, we're still here. Capitalism, yeah, it sucks, but have you seen the new lightsabers Disney's coming out with? Those things are fucking awesome. So, you know what it is. We're going to kick things off this week with the headlines from injustices committed by injustice to Among Us shaped chicky nugs selling for $100,000. We got all the nerdy news you need to know and more coming right up. Then we're going to be testing out a whole new mod segment, which, you know, we're calling it Hidden Gems, where this week we're going to tell you about hidden gems that we all believe deserves a little bit more clout. And then, as always, we're going to be diving deep in this week's deep dive on TCG, or trading card games, if you don't know what that is. And then we'll be wrapping things up with our top 10 coolest collectibles you can buy. So go ahead and sound off in the chat with all the trinkets that you can't stop buying. But that's enough of the foreplay. Let's get it kicked off with this week's headlines. Starting off as a doozy, Injustice 2 Mobile apologizes for inappropriate Pride Month event. The Injustice 2 mobile game has issued an apology to fans after an in-game event to celebrate Pride Month involved beating up an LGBTQ plus character. The event involved repeatedly fighting Poison Ivy, a well-known bisexual character and the iconic villain stemming from DC's Batman universe. Report by Kotaku, the irony of this global challenge event was magnified by a tweet celebrating that players had taken down Poison Ivy over 175,000 times, followed by hashtag Pride Month. Apparently, if players were to have fought her another 225,000 times, they could unlock a whole separate new reward tier. So, but we made the joke earlier. Do not, tell me you don't have any LGBT plus Q, employees without telling me you don't have any LGBT employees, right? Like, somebody in the room, somebody in the room said something here. So said something here. How bad did they botch this? How bad did they botch this Pride Month event?
I just think it's pretty bad, man.
I would say, pretty freaking bad. Bad.
Go ahead, Cape.
No, just like, how did they get through the ringer? Hey, I have a good idea. What's that? Okay, hear me out.
Well, I think that, one of the big things to keep in mind here is that, you got to think of how the Injustice mobile game worked. For a long time, it was basically every event that came on through there was a ladder event, like in Mortal Kombat, right? And the person at the end of the ladder was the person you were getting the armor from. So if it was a Wonder Woman event, you were fighting Wonder Woman at the end to get the Wonder Woman armor, right? And so I think that there was just a plug and play kind of scenario here. And then, Injustice 2, that especially the mobile game, that game is getting pretty old now. So they've been having that for a while. I guarantee you that, one, clearly, as Jake said, they don't have any queer members on their team that could be like, whoa, hey, you think this may be a bad fucking idea? And then two, it's this kind of plug and play repetitiveness. Like, you got to be careful, especially in a fighting game, where you have those and what your kind of things you're celebrating. If you have something that's kind of a cookie cutter copy and paste system kind of thing, you got to realize when that doesn't work, when you could be stepping in a pothole, essentially, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Like, or when you're essentially redefining gay bashing, it's on a whole nother level here. It's just, it's crazy. As corporations, and when I was writing the story, I made a keynote to bring up something that I saw on Facebook. And I know that's the deadest social media. I don't know why I find myself there sometimes. I saw Vineyard Vines change their profile pictures to pride, like a little rainbow. Like a little rainbow, right? And if you don't know what Vineyard Vines is, if you don't know what Vineyard Vines is, that a lot of Southerners wear. And so, like, anyway, long story short, I guess they got bullied enough to where the next day they changed it back. And so I only caught that part of the story. I didn't see the actual comments on the rainbow well. I only saw them on the normal well when people were like, "What the fuck did you get bullied into really changing this back?" And if so, that's even fucking worse. Like you decided, oh, let's cash in on Pride, and then as soon as you got a little heat for it on social media, you decided, oh well, let's not cash in on Pride, I guess. Like what the fuck, like, if you're gonna be, a capitalist husk, at least stick to those guns. But anyway,
and I'm gonna apologize. Oh fuck, I didn't realize that I just cycled through all of our stuff there. Yeah, okay, so never mind. Don't peek at the man behind the curtain, which is definitely 100% me. I'm running this shit right now and hosting it, okay? So for this episode, just cut us some slack, guys, all right? Because this is what's happening, all right? Thank you for everyone that's still here. We still got a little bit of an echo on Jake's side. Let me know if that's fixed. Jake, I would just chat up for a second here. Just let me know. Yeah.
Shout out or shut up?
Yeah.
Shout out? Hello.
Don't
Is
trip
there
on
an
the tech
echo?
issues.
I don't think.
Okay.
Let me see.
Cool. Both.
Is it
both?
Am I good?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Jay White. All right. Anyways.
Okay.
I think we're doing
How we
fine.
doing?
Let me
Hello.
check the stream back here.
So Injustice
They
botched
totally
Pride
botched
Month.
Pride Month. They did. Yeah. And okay. I think we got it. I think we got it fixed. All right. Anyways, cutting all this part out. We're doing this from the seat of our pants. So, anyways, Jake, we've got more than just the Pride Month event going on. Tell me what else we got.
JPEGs and trading cards, it seems that we have a new entrant into 2021's list of unexpectedly huge at auction items, the humble chicken nugget. Case in point, earlier this week, a nugget shaped like a character from Among Us sold at auction for $99,997. Garnering 184 bids on eBay. The nugget, which was listed under the title McDonald's Among Us shaped chicken nugget from BTS meal, I think the BTS helped with SEO there, finally sold for almost $100,000 despite starting at 99 cents on May 28th. I'm no math man, no mathematician guy. I don't math, but right. I think it's $5 for a 20 piece. And I think that means you could get about 400,000 chicken nuggets.
That's crazy. That's absolutely wild.
They bought that for. Somebody check. You can double check that if you need me to. But I know this personally reminds me of the Jesus toast that sold. But would you guys go for the 400,000 chicken nuggets or the one Among Us nug?
That's a tough call.
I think for me, I feel like I've seen an Among Us nugget before. Like I've seen a chicken nugget shaped like an Among Us nugget, and I just ate it because I was hungry,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
No,
what I wanted, right? I didn't think about $10,000 or $100,000 for a nugget, and I
yeah.
feel really disappointed about that decision. You know, that's what I think of when I see stuff like that going for that much. What about you, Cape?
I mean, trying to eat all of those at one time is very. It reminds me a lot of the Jesus toast.
Yeah. You remember the Jesus toast, right?
Right.
It reminds me of Jesus toast.
It's
Like
just crazy what they can sell on eBay.
Yeah.
that went, huh? This looks like an Among Us version. The other person that went, bet you won't sell it. You know, like
Right.
it's kind of weird.
No, like
Yeah.
Lucifer said, you need a mortgage to buy that nugget.
Yeah, you really do.
Oh, yeah.
You really, really do. That's absolutely crazy. I mean, especially a chicken, and especially for a game that hasn't that's really kind of gone off the map now. Like no one's really playing Among Us now. Whenever Among Us puts something out now, people comment on their dead game, you know. And I like so I don't understand why. You know, anyways, capitalism's crazy and consumers culture is crazy.
Well, like I
What else
said,
we got?
Yeah. Well, a fool and his money are easily departed, right? Like that's what they
Right.
say. And so, like, if somebody wanted to spend $100K on a chicken nugget, more power to them, right?
They're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But other news: the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reboot with Seth Rogen reveals its official release date in a new teaser image. Seth Rogen will be taking a swing at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise in a new movie adaptation. And thanks to a new teaser on Twitter, we now know when we can expect the project to hit theaters. Rogen revealed in a crumbled piece of paper on Twitter filled with drawings and notes for the upcoming project in the upper corner that the date was revealed to be August 11th, 2023. Other notes were different types of mutations, the importance of discipline, honor, and loyalty, and a note to apologize in April. I don't know. I'm assuming maybe there's going to be an April Fool's joke, or there could be something for 420 coming from Seth Rogen, knowing most likely. But do you guys believe that Seth can save this franchise? And when will they bring back the fucking practical effects rather than feeding us CGI turtles?
I don't know, man. I think we're gonna get CGI turtles for the rest of our life. I don't think that there's an animatronic out there that can beat what CGI can do right now.
Ninja Turtles are better movies though,
Yeah.
and they have practical effects. I think
Yeah.
the CGI ones lack like any try, and so it's just like people just don't buy into it. The franchise has never been as popular as it was with those OG ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, with the suits and everything that people.
Yeah, dude, those movies were dope. I may just be remembering them bad and I also love most movies from that time period. But like that was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. I love that movie and all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones. The one when they went back in Japan and fought like some feudal lords and shit. That shit was crazy.
No doubt, and then it really ingrained what the characters like. You really understood the characters better because I don't know, it felt more like a connection,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think you could still connect to CGI characters. I think we've done it in plenty of other movies out there.
Yeah.
But
there's a reason why Jurassic Park keeps using animatronics and stuff like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
There's something to it.
There's something more tangible about it.
Like a realness.
Yeah. No, I could see that. I can definitely understand that. But that isn't the only thing going on right now. What else we got?
Yeah, big news in the this literal whole show is going to be about trading cards. It feels, but big news in the Pokemon trading card world. They're bringing back Dragon type cards, and this is something that I kind of noticed as I've been ripping packs of the newer kind of cards. I was like, where are the flying and where are the dragons? And I had no idea that Nintendo had done away, or not Nintendo, but Pokemon had done away with them. But the Pokemon trading card game is bringing back Dragon Pokemon cards for the first time in nearly 2 years. The Pokemon Company announced in its upcoming Japanese extension sets, Sky Steam and Towering Perfection, it will feature the first Dragon-type Pokemon cards to appear in the game since the launch of Sword and Shield back in 2019. So, Creator Inc., the maker of Pokemon trading card game, never addressed the disappearance of Pokemon or the disappearance of Dragon-type Pokemon cards, despite confirming that it was doing away with Fairy-type cards with the new releases of Sword and Shield sets. So that's going to be interesting too. Based on the timing of the Japanese release, it's likely that Dragon-type cards will appear in the Evolving Skies expansion sets, which are set to release in August in Japan. So keep a lookout for those. But why is Pokemon killing off types, and how cool it is that the Dragon types are coming back?
You reminded me of something here, which is that I've got a pack. So that's what I'm going to answer with. Okay. All right. We got double. This is one of those Japanese packs that usually does pretty well at the end, at least. Like, yeah, those were very rewarding. It felt like. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hollow Mr. Rhyme. All right. And then is that a Heateran? That looks like a Heateran, yeah. Okay. And Caparaja. Did we get any full art, anything? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that's holographic Toxtricity, not shiny. All right. Well, I saved it though, and we did it on stream. So we did it for the TCG episode, guys. Trading card games. I've bought into it. There you go.
Got to divvy out into my binder and everything. They're actually just sitting around.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of them there. We went ahead and organized into a binder and started like going through our collection and seeing, what we have and what we don't and kind of estimating a good value for it. But it's it's intense, and I'm glad to see Dragon types are coming back with no weaknesses, no less. I think that's going to be really interesting for the people that care about the actual game meta. And what Dragon types could mean for the rest of the meta, especially with new ones coming in like Dragapult. Like, that's gonna be cool. I'm excited about that.
Right now he's a ghost type, I think.
You don't want a Dragapult that has no weaknesses. He's a ghost and dragon. Yeah,
that'd be dope.
Right.
So, but yeah, in other news, speaking of things that would be dope.
Yeah.
Actually, not. It doesn't transition.
It would be dope if the government told us what's going on with this shit. That's
exactly.
For sure. Yeah.
There is no evidence of aliens, the government says, but some UFOs can't be explained. The United States government is preparing a report to explain what it knows about unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAP, which is the name they gave it to throw us all off, but they're fucking UFOs, and we know it.
Yeah.
And so, as they were historically known, UFOs as they were historically known, but it is not good news for people who have been visited by aliens or from outer space. An official who read the report told CBS News ahead of its official publication that there is no evidence that the objects are extraterrestrial. That said, the Pentagon's Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force report could not explain what the objects were. So more than 120 cases that were investigated by the government remain unexplained, according to the report, which in turn keeps the door open for conspiracy theories. The UFO report will be given to Congress by June 25th, at which point we could learn a little bit more about the specifics. But it looks like the truth is still out there, and we're going to have to continue to wait and see, because the lion-ass government doesn't want us to know anything. If they're not and I know we're going to get into it, but if they're not aliens, right? Then the government's essentially saying, we've seen shit that we don't know what it is off the coast of America, and we just don't really care about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what they're saying, essentially. And that makes no fucking sense. If a jet from a foreign country flew as close as some of these have been photoed flying, we'd be going to fucking war. And so it's just so bizarre to me that they're like, we don't know what they are.
It's the biggest non-answer. That it's like the biggest just, they know what they're doing.
Or they wouldn't be like so nonchalant about it. You know what I mean? Like if because they just either know that it's a foreign country with some cool tech that we're not afraid of, or it's alien shit and we're friends with them and they're not afraid of it. Either way, they don't seem to be very afraid of shit, which is crazy. I think that tells me more than these UFO reports will.
No, I agree. I absolutely agree. I love aliens. I feel like I could have guessed this answer, right? Yeah, I feel like I could have guessed that this is what was going to happen. And like, it was fun to be like, oh, what's it going to be? It's going to be a non-answer. Because like, they're not going to be bringing a report forward. They're not going to just, oh yeah, on June 1st, we're going to tell you if aliens exist or not. We're not going to drop that huge society-changing rules, like, not society-changing rules, but knowledge, right? You don't go back after you like that'll be like I remember where I was when they told us aliens exist and
It
we
would be like in a video game when it pops up and goes, "This is the point of no return."
Right.
Like the mission you do after this is the end game.
Exactly.
And, and so like the government just being like, "Yeah, aliens are real. We talk to them all the time. They're a real thing. They come here, they visit. We're actually a part of the Galactic Council. We just don't tell you guys because you're all fucking stupid."
Right. This is why Trump was building a space force because he got immediately scared of them and he was like, all that. That would make sense.
Like, what if they come and they take us? There's nothing we could do.
Also, what would make sense is that like seeing salty ass Trump leave the White House, they're like, fuck, he's gonna tell him about the aliens. He's gonna fucking tell him about the aliens, right? We got to get in front of this, guys, before he's drunk at a bar one night and hanging out with Rudy Giuliani, who fucking sits on his phone and calls reporters. All right. Be like, they don't even know. They don't even know about the aliens, Rudy. They don't know.
Sounds like a Rick and Morty episode or something going on.
Yeah.
Obama said in an interview, like Jimmy Kimmel asked him, and he was like, "There's things I can't tell you, but I'm telling you, if aliens are real, they don't tell the president." And he said that, and he was like, "I'm being straight up with it." And I was like, you know what? That probably makes sense. Because I bet the president's really just like a figurehead. He's kind of faking away. So it's just one of those things where like they're not going to tell that guy,
I hope
anyway,
not.
I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole, but they're fucking real.
What else we got?
I'm getting tired of being treated like a child.
Yeah, I feel you. What else we got? So
for our final segment in the news this week, Playdate announces its new price presentation next week with game updates and pre-order details. If you don't know, the Playmate is a weird yellow handheld with a crank. It's finally getting some new information on June 8th from its manufacturer, Panic Inc. A presentation focused on the handheld will air on June 8th, which will detail new information on the gadget, including information on how to pre-order the device as well and how to work it with a little crank. I guess it's interesting. It's really a cool little handheld. Alongside an announcement for the Playdate, the presentation early next week, the manufacturer has also confirmed some new information for the handheld, including its new price of $179, which was a $30 increase from the original reveal. However, the games that will be bundled with it has doubled from 12 to 24. And the Playdate has now moved up from 4 gigabytes of internal storage to 2, or moved up to 4 from 2. The Playdate was originally announced in 2019 and was slated for a 2020 release, but back in October, the company announced that they were delaying the release to 2021 because of the pandemic. So it's pretty cool that we're getting a new handheld from a totally new company, one that we've never heard of. And what's the last handheld you guys bought? Like, I think mine would be the Switch, which is kind of a hybrid in a way, but it's interesting to see maybe someone else breaking out in the handheld game.
Well, I really wanted to buy a Switch myself, but I didn't really. I really was light on that, but. Yeah, I mean I could see that.
Oh no, they were talking about the government. Never mind. That makes more sense. But still, manual labor to play a game? What the fuck?
Yeah. Looks like we're gonna be sticking to the main screen or Jake, because it looks like those are the only ones that are working. But anyway, sorry. Side note from me also.
Like I said earlier, we can cut out cuts. Just keep it on the big one.
Yeah, that's where we need to go. We're gonna stay right here, guys. Right here. Okay. Give Kate back control. See, this is what happens, Kate. This is what happens when your internet craps out on us.
Yeah, well, I have a plan B. I'm recording right now and switching between people. So we're good.
Cool. Well, there you go.
Yeah,
Anyways.
It's definitely hard. It's got to be hard to host and produce because production's already hard enough. So.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway.
There's a lot of stuff going on here.
It just takes a lot of... It's like... at the same time.
But the Playmate, it's little. You have to crank it.
That was the coolest thing about it. The crank on the thing. It's not how you charge it. It's a crank that you use as a controller for certain games.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a thing that's like, take it camping because you don't need batteries. You can just crank it like a fucking like the old radios or whatever.
It's like a little Game Boy that has a crank on the side that's made by the same people that do the Untitled Goose Game.
Oh shit! Okay,
And
that's hype then.
yeah,
I'm interested.
so that's why it seems, and it has a slate of weird indie games, but like I
Yeah.
feel like this is the hipster at coffee shops version of like, oh, you haven't heard of it? This is my like indie platformer Untitled Goose Game
Oh, it's the it's the
handheld.
Playmate.
It has the Playmate. It has a crank on the side. You know,
Yeah.
my friends do like that kind of thing. That's what I feel like
People
this
who
thing
play this
is.
game also make like press coffee or whatever. You know,
Right,
like that
French
kind of
Yeah.
press
that
coffee.
kind of shit.
Hmm.
Or also like, the ice cream machines that you have to do it by hand and all that.
Yeah,
That kind of thing,
yeah,
Yeah. No, not for me. I mean, I'll see. I loved Unentitled Goose Game, so. But I think the cranking, like, that's so weird. Everybody's, commenting about like fishing simulators or whatever. But like, it's still like that. That would be cool. But it's got to be like a bunch of different games and with different kind of like I like to see people trying new things, so I got to give it props there. I
yeah,
mean,
Or thinking outside the box.
$180 for it though, that seems kind of steep.
yeah.
Well, maybe with more people, it will, maybe to the price a little bit. We'll see supply and demand, that stuff.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's not all we got for the show. We've got even more. We've got a brand new segment that we're ready to run, and I hope it's loaded in here. But fingers crossed, guys. We're doing this tonight. You're in for the long haul. Anyways, we've got a new segment called Hidden Gems, where we talk about hidden gems, things you may have missed, things that are lost treasures. And so, without further ado, let's run this intro. That was not the right intro, but okay. Anyways, we're just gonna keep on going right through. Today,
It matched okay, I guess. That sucks. We'll have to repost the Hidden Gems intro because that shit's really good.
yeah, it's good. It's good. I thought 100% it was loaded in here. I could probably, tell us a little bit about what the Hidden Gems segment means, guys.
Okay. Well,
Mhm.
I forgot to write out a longer intro for it, so.
Yeah.
But this week we've got a brand new segment called Hidden Gems. Essentially, what we're going to do is kind of dive into 3 different things that we've each decided are a hidden gem. And basically, what that means is, basically what the word means, as far as like we think these are things that came out that may have flew under the radar or may have flown on the radar but just didn't get the clout that they deserved, right? And so a lot of these things, they can be new, they can be old. Each week it could vary. It could be a game, it could be a YouTube channel, it could be pretty much anything, because I mean, fuck, we get to decide.
Right.
And so that is the whole beauty of Hidden Gems, is we're just going to be telling you guys about things that we think you should be hip on.
Okay. I think I
That's
got
a little
this.
bit about hidden
So with
gems.
that said, roll. We did it.
Oh, that's hot.
We did it. We did it.
We did it. Fuck yeah, that's good shit. See, I told you guys it was good.
It was good. It was a good
Yeah.
intro, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jake, thank you for that thorough explanation. That was long enough for me to relink that really quickly.
I am very good at just rambling.
Right, and we needed a ramble there, and you did good. You did what was needed to be done.
You did good, kid.
So
Did good.
I'll start this off. If you've been tuning into my stream any bit this week, you've seen that there's been one hidden gem here. You can see it a little bit in the corner there that is absolutely stuck out to me and has been an incredible game and an incredibly fun experience so far, which is Biomutant. Think Breath of the Wild plus Jedi powers in a post-apocalyptic setting with Rocket Raccoon as your protagonist that you can customize. Honestly, it's a bunch of these discombobulated elements that rolled into one thing that end up working together in a way that just like, but it's a grab bag of elements that I think anybody will love. it's a really fun and engaging story about a post-apocalyptic world and a mutant society that developed after human beings because of radiation and pollution and basically capitalism run amok. The graphics are absolutely beautiful. The characters that they've developed are absolutely amazing. Lupa Lupin, who I thought was going to be the main boss, but we like just fucking killed in the last stream. Is his whole backstory and how he comes to his motivations to do what he's doing is all thoroughly developed out, and I think in a way that a lot of games just aren't bringing to it. Now, Jake's the one that helped write this out, and the next question is simply, why no natural hype, right? Why is this a hidden gem? Well, I think you got to look at what really happened with this game. This game was something that came out. The first trailer for this was dropped in E3 in 2017, and it's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed because they wanted to not cyberpunk it, right? And
isn't it a small studio too?
It is. It is a small studio that developed it, and I think that this is the one thing that's like really going to show what they can do, and they're going to point to, well, a game like this, right? And so I think that they really wanted to hit the nail on the head here. I think the development took so long that I remember seeing something like this, but I remember seeing again this in 2019, which, guys, that's 2 years ago now. Like, it's crazy. That's long. Time flies.
It's not kind.
Right.
Time flies like a banana.
Right. So I remember seeing, I think, something in 2019 of a trailer for this on Facebook, and I was like, oh, that sounds like something that would be interesting.
I love mutant shit. Me and you both were on Evolve pretty hard when it came out.
Right.
And so this is definitely a game that looks like it was, right up my alley. And but I think it's awesome that you put it in here, because even though I have seen a few things on it, it really hasn't been hyped up like most AAA titles, and so or most big games, that have come out. And this game looks gorgeous. So,
right. No, I think that it absolutely looks amazing. One of the things, I know, Jake, you heard a lot of complaints from people about it, and I was listening. I was trying to hear your complaints throughout the process, and one of the things that you heard was like the boss battles get really repetitive. I was like, okay, fine. When I go to the boss battles, like the World Eaters, I'm expecting this to be pretty repetitive. It's going to be the same thing each time. They're not. Like I think I completely disagree with the critique that the combat gets repetitive, because it's still challenging, and it is definitely has the same feel of like Batman Arkham and some of the other kind of like, this is your counter button, this is your attack button kind of thing. But to me, the combat is really always engaging and interesting, and the boss battles are also they have a lot of variety. There's one where I'm flying around on a fucking jet ski shooting at a three-headed monster, and then there's another one where there's one that's eating me and then shitting me out and shoving me back up its ass.
Nice. This is just one of those games that like it's very weird, because it's one of those, it's like movies, games. This happens a lot where you'll see the review community really like coming together and saying like, oh, it's not good. But then, like, every person that's played it is like, oh, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's one of those games where, like, you're not the only person I've heard be like, no, this game's a shitload of fun. It's really cool. It's very pretty. It's a smooth game. But then, like, every time I turn on YouTube or something, every reviewer about it on the YouTubes is talking about it, like, in a negative light. And so it's one of those that's, like, so weird that, like, and I don't think that's a bad thing, because reviewers, they play games differently, I think, sometimes. They may be looking for something different than what we're looking for. You know what I mean?
Right.
But everybody that I usually trust in their like sense of games has told me it's pretty good. And so it's definitely one that's on my list to play after I finish up Mass Effect.
Yeah. No, I hands down would recommend it. I've had nothing but fun. I'm still going through it. Anybody, any questions on my hidden gem?
Did you find it?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. How'd you find it?
How'd I find it? I found it actually through Facebook ads. I kept on seeing ads, and it was like very vague Facebook ads for like trailers or stuff like that. They just kept on getting me hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped. And they definitely Oh, we got a new follower. Oh, thank you, Caper Toodle, for the subscription there. We appreciate that.
I didn't do that. That was Lucifer. He gave it
Oh, he
to me.
gifted you one.
He
Thank
gifted
you
it.
for that gifted subscription there, Lucifer. I appreciate that.
Gifted a host to sub online. That's how.
Yes.
That's how.
Yeah. You should have been
Nice.
subscribed anyways, man. Come on.
Nice.
Anyways, but yeah, that's where I found it. Facebook ads worked. They hands
That's
down
awesome.
worked. They got $60 out of me.
And it's the game you're playing like every week on stream right now,
Yeah,
right?
it is. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely have to check it out.
Well, if that's all you guys got, Jake, you have a hidden gem that you wanted to talk about as well. Tell us a little bit about what you got as a hidden gem.
Yeah, mine's gonna be a little different. It is well, not a little different. But it's just an HBO Max original show called Hacks. If you haven't heard about it, Hacks is about Deborah Vance, who's played by the iconic Jean Smart, and she's a legendary Las Vegas comedian diva looking to appeal to a younger audience. Vance's agent signs Ava, an entitled 25-year-old, to help freshen up her material, and Vance begins mentoring her. The show is not just smart, but incredibly funny. The creators wanted to highlight a Joan Rivers type, and I think that's very overdue. Not to give too many spoilers because I don't want to give too much away, but there was a time when Joan Rivers was actually up to get a late night show. And Jimmy Carson got so mad about that because he felt like he gave her a start and now she was going to compete with him, that he kind of banned her from the Tonight Show. And that set her career back a little bit as a glowing comedian during that time. And so it really was this men's club that really didn't want to let Joan in. And so the way that they kind of have that character's in Deborah Vance in a way. And the similarities are just so awesome. I mean, obviously she's not as old, but it's one of those where she's kind of still an older lady comedian, and her set kills, and she's falls into these tropes a lot, but at the same time she tries to pull out of them. And so it's just really interesting. If you love comedy as an art form and understand just how much of a trailblazer people like Rivers were, you'll love Hacks. It's not just some Zoomer versus Boomer bullshit story in a way, which I think it kind of sounded like with the 25-year-old getting thrown in there to be your writer, right? But the characters are deep, and getting to know their flaws and everything has been a real treat so far. I've laughed, I've cried, but better yet, I'm looking forward to Thursdays as if it's Mando or just one of those, any show that I've been watching. And so, excited to see just where it goes. The latest episode really hammed up just how toxic of a community the boys club that is stand-up really is. And, I've just really been living for that shit. And so, why it's gotten no natural hype, I would say, is because it's an HBO Max original rather than an HBO original. I don't know if people really give a fuck. I don't, because I'm subscribed to HBO Max. But I think that some people, I don't think it's actually coming on cable each week, or on HBO each week. It's only on Max. And so, but I think Max blew its whole budget, with the Snyder Cut. So I don't think they've had enough money to really put into advertising for it or anything like that. I don't want to blame it on toxic masculinity or anything, but the show is definitely rooted in female empowerment.
Right.
And it's a big one of those kind of things. With comedy being dominated by so many straight white dudes, it's easy to see why a show like this has kind of gotten overlooked. It's not Louis, you know what I mean? For a lack of a better example. All right. But that's not to say that it's not just a show for the ladies. Here I am, a big bearded straight man, telling you that it's a great fucking show and that Deborah Vance is the GOAT. So I don't think the marketing really found its footing with this franchise, and that's why I kind of maybe had lower viewership. I haven't really seen the numbers, but so far I've loved this show, and it's one that I really think needed to get a little bit more clout.
Yeah, no, I to me it's really interesting because HBO typically does so well with shows like this. Right? How does it compare to the rest of the HBO's catalog? Is this just a hidden gem because it's an HBO quality show that's not one of the HBO does really great stuff and then just that kind of stuff?
No, I definitely. I mean, it's not
Is it a really great HBO show as well?
Comedies. Yeah, no, for HBO comedies, it's on up there with Curved in my opinion. It's really a good show. Now, can it last that long? Because I don't think it's really one of those shows. It may just be this one season. I mean, I don't know how they're going to end the season yet because it hasn't ended, so I don't know really where they're going to go with it. But so far, it's really just been a good story, and HBO does it tells really good stories, and so I would say it's definitely on par with the rest of their catalog. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
So I got asked though, like just last Dodd, like how did you find it? You know?
Yes, it is Hacks, by the way. The
yes.
HACKS. I just say. But I found it just because I mean, dude, I'm always looking for new shows to watch. I scroll through each one of my like subscription bases every day, like just to look at like what else new, and it caught my eye, and like I usually watch a trailer, and so I watched the trailer for it, and I like comedy so much. I'm such a stand-up comedy junkie. Know about like stand-up comedy and the whole scene, and an iconic character that was clearly kind of like built off of Joan Rivers, which I've always loved. Like I was like, yeah, that's for me. I'll watch that. And
It
sure
sounds
enough,
like
I've been
Marvelous.
Do what?
marvelous.
Sounds
What?
it's Marvelous Miss Maisel. It sounds kind of like that in a way.
Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Where
I don't.
she's talking about stand up and all that. Yeah, she does stand up and all that, and I just wondered, have you seen anything like that?
No, never heard of it. I'll check it out though.
It's
I love
it's
stand-up.
on
So if
Amazon.
it's about it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think you would definitely love that show. It's on Amazon, but it was kind of ringing that to me, but I'm not sure if it's in the same vein. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's it's very funny. It's just a stand-up comedian, and it's cool too to watch like an older stand-up comedian trying to work with like a younger writer. I think that's a cool dynamic, and they're because they really do, like I said, they don't play into the boomer versus zoomer tropes or anything too much, but it is kind of funny to watch like a zoomer, basically a 25-year-old explaining to this woman certain internet lingo and different things like that, and so you're just like, oh yeah, because she totally wouldn't know because she's not on fucking TikTok.
Yeah.
But anyway.
She's not dabbing anyone randomly.
Yeah, she's not hitting the renegade on anybody. Like, it's Deborah fucking Vance. If you were that rich and that old, you would not be on
Yeah.
TikTok either. I know.
Yeah, very true.
Cape, you also have a hidden gem for us. What have you got for us? You got a Netflix show, I believe.
So, one of my favorite shows I've recently watched is called Dark. Now, many of you probably have not heard of Dark. It's only 3 seasons long, and it's as long as it needs to be. And it's about someone that time travels to the past, to say the least. And it's one of those shows that you have to, like, after you get through the episode, you have to sit there and go, okay, what has happened? And there's some sites that kind of help you go with it. Like when I watched Game of Thrones, it was kind of all over the place for me. So after every episode, I was like, okay, where am I? What's happening and all that. So this show is German, and many people say, oh, I don't watch with dubs, but the dubs are perfectly fine. And I think folks should care because when you watch certain shows, you're like, I'm definitely watching Tom Cruise be Tom Cruise, or I'm watching Jim Carrey be Jim Carrey. But when you watch the show, you kind of get taken out of that because you don't know who these people are. And for some things, it being German, it like they translate stuff over. And plus, there's some lineage that goes into
What's the plot of it?
The 80s.
Like what is the show?
plot?
Like what is the show about? Like I know you talk about a lot about these characters and the Germans. Like what is the show about though?
It's really hard to follow the plot like without spoiling
Like
because
Lost?
it's so interweaved. Yeah, it's very much like Lost. Like it very much interweaves other timelines and whatnot. So it's kind of hard to give an ongoing plot. But I would hold out to like the 4th episode before you just like going, oh. But long story short, I'll just say that this kid goes missing, and this other guy who's a cop tries to find his kid.
Okay.
That's why I'll stop at right there. And
The plot
it's
is
just
lost.
like hard to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the show Lost, and you do get lost. But the thing is, I really like about it is it's 3 seasons, and it's as long as it needs to be. Just try being longer than that, try and be shorter. It seems like they tied everything up in a bow. Probably didn't get a lot of hype for it because I would say that, when it was released and all that, people get turned off to shows that are in different languages. But as I said, the dub is perfectly fine. You hardly notice it unless you watch their lips consistently. But I think you guys would really enjoy it just because, like, you just gotta watch 3 seasons, 10 episodes per each season. But it is kind of,
30
you have to
episodes.
sit there and go, yeah, 30 episodes. It's not too bad.
Not bad.
But I think both of you would really, I'm a very big time travel
Yeah.
person, as you go.
One of
I know
Yeah,
you
I
probably
love
have.
one of the
time travel.
questions I have for you on this one, Cape, is each time travel. Everybody with time travel has different rules with time travel, right? So are there different rules in Dark And is there anything unique about time travel rules? Because that's always, when you have time travel stories, that's to me is the most interesting aspect. What is your take on time travel, and what rule set are we playing by? Are we going by the what was that one with James Franco, 1942 or anything like that, where like the future, if the more you try to change things, 11/22/63, yeah. You're right.
Sorry,
The one where if you the more you try to change, the more the past tries to come at you. Like that's a whole different rule set than say Doctor Who or say even Legends of Tomorrow. All of those interview with time travel. Is there anything unique to Dark in that aspect, or is this kind of like something we've seen before, but a different take on it?
It's a very good question. They actually do go through that. They actually go through. Do you know what the bootstrap paradox is? So the bootstrap, in just short, the bootstrap paradox is if you're sitting there building a time machine and someone comes in and gives you the plans for a time machine, then essentially you know how to build a time machine. Essentially, that person doesn't exist anymore because it's a paradox. So where did they get the plans from originally? So it's kind of like a paradox of that. And it's kind of, I would think what makes it unique is just how it intertwines with everyone in that community. It keeps it in that universe. It doesn't go outside of that community.
Yeah, it's trippy just thinking about that.
But at the same time, that can make it much more weaved. But I think what makes it also unique is just like how you can definitely tell they planned out each episode and each plot point and so on and so forth. And I agree with you. Like each one has different time travel rules that they have to obey by. And that's a very good question too.
Yeah. Jake, any questions on your end?
I mean, I was gonna ask about the dub, but it sounds like that's not too big of a deal. I think I started one episode because somebody from work had told me about it, and like, I'm a very like, I don't know, like I'm always weird with that, and so it's just like the first episode, I think I got bored, but then it's like one of those things where I could understand if it's like a kind of a. You said it took to the third episode to have that big like like shit moment.
3 or
and
4.
So, yeah, it's so like I just the person who told me about it didn't tell me it was a slow burn show. And so now that I know that, I may go back and give it another chance. So
yeah, definitely, and just take it with a grain of salt. And I would judge it probably by the third or fourth episode. But like, also at the end of each episode, like there's a website out there that's like how you can know who's connected to who and whatnot. But it's not like
it's one of those where I'm gonna be Googling shit. Nice.
Well, there's one website. It's like darktimeline.com or whatever. But it's also one that's like, if you try to explain it, then you're just going to get more confused for the other person, you know?
Yeah.
So
just go. It was all purgatory.
Yeah, there you go. That's all how you do it.
Yeah, it was Jesus the whole time.
All right. Well, that will wrap it up for the first half of the show. Again, thank you guys for sticking with us through all those technical difficulties. When we come back, we're going to be going into this week's deep dive, the heart of the cards, talking about trading card games in general. And then we're also going to be going into our top Zen, which is the top 10 collectibles. So stick around. Plenty more Geek Life to come. We'll see you here in 10. Peace. And we're back. This week we wanted to do another deep dive, as we always do, into a topic that's honestly been super hot during the pandemic, right? And no, I'm not talking about 5Gs or Nazis this time. We're talking about TCG, all right? We're talking about trading card games, or according to the all-knowing Wikipedia, a collectible card game. Some people use CCG as an abbreviation. Also called a trading card game, among other names, is a type of card game that mixes strategic deck-building elements with features of trading cards introduced with Magic the Gathering in 1993. And that's what we're kicking off with in this week's deep dive. How did TCG start? Well, the first TCG started with Magic the Gathering, which was developed by Richard Garfield and published by Wizards of the Coast in 1993. And its initial runs rapidly sold out that year. By the end of 1994, Magic the Gathering had sold over 1 billion cards, and during its most popular period between 2008 and 2016, sold over 20 billion cards. Magic ain't nothing to fuck with. Magic the Gathering...
My girlfriend's brother.
Yeah. Magic the Gathering's early success led to other game publishers to follow suit with their own TCGs in following years. Other successful CCGs include Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is estimated to be above 35 billion cards as of January 2021, and Pokemon, which has sold over 30.4 billion cards at the end of March 2020. So my first real question for you guys, because I was the TCG question was hypothetical, but the first real question is why do you believe we see that trading card games go through waves of popularity, right? There was a big wave in the beginning. There was a big wave when Pokemon came out. There's a big wave that we're on right now. Why do you think trading card games go through waves of popularity? Jake, we'll start with you.
I mean, in short, the internet.
Yeah.
I feel like when we were kids, Pokemon cards and other ones were most sold because of how popular the shows were. Like, a lot of folks might not realize, but Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, a lot of those shows were just created to sell cards. With the internet, things can be hyped by more than a weekly TV show and some ads that you'd see as a kid, or even just a McDonald's deal. Personally, I loved collecting the cards as a kid. So when, I started seeing cards that I had back then, or at least feel like I had them, because I don't have access to that collection anymore. Thanks, Mom. Seeing for selling, they were selling for thousands of dollars. I thought, like, fuck, I need to get back in. Like, it's almost like the AMC and GameStop thing of stocks, where it's like, you bought AMC at $6, then you see it at 30, and you're like, oh shit, like, or you sold at 30, but then you saw it at 70, and you're like, well, fuck, I need to get back in, but you don't need to get 70, trust me. Anyway, so but now I have a pretty awesome collection because I have bought a few online. I actually had a few childhood friends that after I posted on Facebook, they were like, yo, I'll sell you mine. And so I bought them from them. And so, but I think the reason why we see these waves is it's all about hype. I think, in 93 when they dropped, it was something new. And so that caused it. And then in the late 90s, when they really started to blossom, it was because of the anime shows. Like I said, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, stuff like that. And I think this new resurgence has really been because of the internet and eBay and being able to see some of these things fetch, hundreds of thousands of dollar price tags. You're just like, the internet's the biggest hype machine to ever be built. So, I think that's a big, the big popularity. And then YouTubers, man, streamers, stuff like that, like they definitely have caused the resurgence now.
Yeah, I think that there was... what happened, especially for a lot of people, myself included, once the pandemic hit, people kind of made some decisions on things that they wanted to do. A lot of people went into streaming. A lot of people went into TCG. A lot of people went into, kind of really exploring the things that they wanted to do. And with developers not making new stuff, it's kind of like, well, was always the one that you wanted to go back to? Well, tons of people were going back to that. Plus, you can't, not only were people going back to it, but content creators as well were trying to figure out, like A-Drive, I know there was no Pokemon games that were coming out, and A-Drive is strictly a Pokemon streamer. What's he going to do during the pandemic? Guess we're going to start opening some TCG cards. And stuff like that just snowballed from there to this wave, I think. I think that there are always ingredients that I think play into these waves coming in there. I think the second wave of TCG popularity was strictly from Pokemon entering the game. But Cape, why do you think TCG goes through waves of popularity?
Well, it's kind of like the whole saying of history repeats itself. And it's generally that. I mean, the generation that started with Pokemon is now having their kids go do it, and also, they have other things such as the video games and so on and so forth from that. And I agree with Jake as well about the show will definitely influences the actual trading card stuff, because I remember like Young Justice would not be a show for the next season because it did not sell toys. That being said, too, there's also an element of the lottery. Right. It's kind of like get your golden ticket in a way. I'm not a TCG person,
Pokemon
but
cards
I definitely
are
see
loot boxes, but we're not
right.
Talk about
But still, it's the element of keeping up with the Joneses. I have something that you don't, but also it's the element of comic books. Some people get comic books. Hey, how can I get mad?
But like comic books remains pretty consistently popular, right? Like to me, TCG definitely has these big spikes.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think that.
think comics and they
Yeah.
follow books, and I think books get their shine every
Right.
now and then. Like it's one of those things where like I think it's just Kate brought up a good point with history repeating itself. I think we as like humans are just very cycly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, we'll be on to something for a little while, then we'll cycle off to something else. And it's very much like, you know, we'll pick and choose different things to be hype about. And I think like every 5 or so years, Pokemon gets re-hyped, you know, or not Pokemon, but
cards.
just card games. Yeah, Pokemon cards and cards in general. Like I think sports cards like baseball cards and stuff like that, they were so huge when I was a kid. So getting back into Pokemon cards made me find out that people were still into sports memorabilia cards. And I was like, holy shit, that's a thing. Like you people.
If you
still
look
buy
at
this?
but if you look at the timeline of how the whole thing works out, this gap actually from now and this big latest wave to the last wave, which was pretty much when Pokemon was popular. I mean, that's a huge gap. Of the 40 years that Pokemon has been around for, or sorry, trading card games have been around for, you know, a majority of that is actually in the 2000s from, you know, around 2010 to about now, about a decade of gap, you know. And I don't think that before, you know, I don't know. It just seems to me it's very interesting the cycles that TCG. I agree that humans are cyclical, but this has a particularness to that cycle, you know.
Yeah,
It's very, and I think to me, it always is several ingredients that factor into it. You can point to a couple of things. I think the big one, you know, Magic the Gathering was huge when it first came out. That was the first big boom, and then there was a second big boom when TCG did, and that's the whole reason is because they approached a younger demographic. They also expanded it to something that was global and not just you know, local. And so there are hard things that you can point to that made it from there. But it is interesting to me that it was so. It went through phases, you know.
Yeah. No, it has been like it's almost like a roller coaster, which is interesting, you know, like because obviously that's like the you know most overused analogy for things that go up and down a shitload, but it really is like. Sure. It's one of those where like, you know, every now and then you won't hear anybody talking about Pokemon cards and then you'll hear it again. And it's the same, I think, for all trading cards in a way, though. Like they just kind of specifically Pokemon, I think definitely goes hard. But I think it's always this one. I don't want to blame on logic, but I think it's Logic's fault.
Right. No.
And Jake Paul.
Yeah,
and
the Pauls.
And they, because I think one of them did a fucking video where they like, you know, they did they opened a pack that was like an old pack from the 90s and stuff. They did like a, you know, an opening. And that
it was
him.
Of views he was the one that was buying these cards at ridiculous prices, which was giving them a price.
Was giving them a price. It's like a piece of art's not really worth anything until someone buys it for what you say it's worth, right? Like, and so I think that's what's happened with Pokemon.
I can say this piece of art on the back wall here is worth $100,000. If I made it, you know, it's $100,000 piece of art. I happen to own it, you know, because I made it. But no one can tell me otherwise until someone buys it and then it's actually worth that. And that's what Jake Paul did to fucking Charizards.
Well, it's also you trying to. It's kind of like when a website becomes extremely popular when it wasn't popular at all. You know, it just crashes it completely. Yeah. And I mean, also, I mean, Black Friday is a good example of all this too. Just like you've had me look at scalper videos, and I'm like, holy crap!
Piranha capitalism.
Like, why?
That's what I call it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Going mad dash. All right, well, moving right along, what makes trading cards unique? You know, why are trading cards such a unique medium? There's tons of different card games, but trading card games are its really own category. And with that, what makes them so unique and collectible? So, what makes them different than other card games out there, but what makes them also different as a collectible? Cape, let's start with you.
Well, I'll answer that. Yeah, well, it's just the people interacting with their actual cards. I mean, they're their own characters, and it's not, well, like, I've given comic books to people to read. Hey, read this. This is great. But the thing is, like, they actually interact with the actual, you actually have an outcome to what you're doing.
Right.
Game aspect of it. I mean, and I mean, just rarity as well and all that we just went through. But still, it's the fact that you actually get to interact with it.
No, exactly.
Trading. Trading, playing with them, I think that's that's the huge part of it.
Right.
You know, is you don't really trade many collectibles.
I think it's the intersection of what makes them collectible and also the fact that makes them a game, a card game, right?
Yeah, it's a game
Right.
you can actually play. Like you can collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and you can also thrack somebody with some Blue Eyes White
Right.
Dragons, and you know that's an interesting thing. I can't fight you with
And
my
some are
Funko
more
Pops.
collected more than they are battled with.
I mean, I could.
Yeah, you could like throw them at
Or your
least.
Furby.
I'll throw
Yeah.
Funko Pops at you.
Be like, Superman's not real. He can't fly. Bitch, he flies today. You know. But anyways, I think that it's the intersection between being a collectible and something that you can interact with, not just as a game, but like most collectible things, right? Just sit on a shelf and just collect dust. But trading cards actually are one of there are collectibles that do have uses, right? But one of those that does have a functional use to it, and I think that is something that makes it really, really unique. Because Magic the Gathering, you know, you don't see, there are some super rare Magic cards. Do not get me wrong, but also if you go to Target and you're looking for trading cards, what are you gonna find?
Yeah.
Magic.
There's a whole wall of
Right.
Magic the Gathering
Right.
over there. There's not people bum rushing to get that one, you know, like, but it's still a highly
But it's a very popular game, but it's just
And I
not
think
as
that's-
collectible. It's not, they don't have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Rainbow Charizard in there that's worth, that they've said is an ultra rare and is worth X amount of dollars now, you know?
Yeah.
That they don't have a list of officiated, like, this is worth this much, and this is our structure of which cards are more rare than others. Magic just has cards that are playable, and like some of the most rarest Magic cards are cards that you get from winning tournaments. You know, and because you won the tournament.
I think, and nostalgia plays a
Right.
big factor too. You know, as far as like what makes trading cards unique. I think for I don't want to say the boomer generation, maybe right after the boomers, and you know that whole generation was essentially baseball cards. Baseball cards were huge at one point, right? And so I think they're still, you know, like I'll see a lot of like middle-aged or older guys at the Target line when I go to buy Pokemon cards before they banned them. And I'm like, what are you guys here for? And they're like, baseball cards.
Right.
And so they're still into baseball cards. Whereas like Pokemon came out in the later 90s. You know, I'm not into Magic. It came out in 93. I mean, I don't want to age myself too bad. I was 3, you know? And so like Magic was a little too early for me, but Pokemon came, you know, really came into, you know, a big hits in the like 98, 99, kind of like right in that time frame, right as soon as I was getting old enough to like really gain consciousness of the TV. And so like, I think like that's why I bought into Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon more. You know?
What a fucking
And
time
so,
to be
like, I think
alive,
it
to
really
be a 10-year-old right when Pokemon hit the shelves. Like that is one thing that these generations, they won't get, right? There was a sense of mystery of like exploring in your own little Game Boy Pokemon universe that doesn't exist in stream or with the internet or anything else out there. Like Missing No,
I hate to be the old like
Right.
times, you know, like that guy, but it really is like it was different experiences before, you know, like we all went
right,
digital,
and
I
that's
guess.
also, as you see, Nintendo, that's why your shit sells, because of nostalgia, right? To be a kid in that time,
is a huge
I just
one,
want to be a kid in that time. Let me play Sword and Shield for 234 hours.
Our
you know?
generation's nostalgic for it because we actually lived it, and then the Zoomers below us are actually just like they're just like, oh, that's fucking, it's from the 90s.
Right.
That's cool.
It's
You know, like, they
trendy.
just look at it as like
That's a real trend.
it's very it's in, you know, 90s is cheap right now.
It is. It really is. But unique as a, well, we talked about that as unique as collectible. What got you into trading cards? If anything, what is your favorite card to collect and why? Jake, we'll start with you because I know that you do collect these. I know Cape, you collect a lot of stuff, but I don't know how much cards you collect.
Yeah.
But you know what you're talking about here. I know.
Mine's gonna be an interesting answer because there's a few cards that I collect physically, you know, as if like actual like tangible, I can hold them in my hand cards. Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. I have a pretty decent collection on both of those. You know, it's funny because I've actually never played Pokemon though. I've only collected Pokemon cards. I've never played the game. It was like that's why I got so mad. And if the stream, I probably they're gonna get tired of hearing me talk about it. But like, it's why I got so mad when my mom gave my Pokemon cards away.
Right, we need to make a super cut of Jake complaining about.
And no, because you don't know what it takes for an 8-year-old to open a pack of cards and then put them in a binder and go, never play with these, Jake. Never go. Like, I'm not taking them to school. People would be like, "Do you have this card?" Playing with them on the playground, and I'd be like,
I
"Yeah, at
do
my house,
safely,
in
you know.
in an air conditioned
Yeah.
room. You fucking, Neanderthal."
Exactly.
So like, yeah, I loved Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Though I went hard with. I've got a couple of those. They're all in card sleeves, but I played the fuck out of Yu-Gi-Oh. I even played a few Pokemon or
See,
a
I
few
actually
Yu-Gi-Oh
played
tournaments.
Yu-Gi-Oh versus I collected
Yeah.
Pokemon cards, but I played
collected
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Pokemon. I played
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. And so, but I played you. I even did it at Books a Million. I don't know if you guys remember that back in the day. Books a Million and other bookstores would have like fucking these like awesome, tournaments
Right.
and everything. They used to do Magic a lot. They did Yu-Gi-Oh too, and I played that. But digitally, I collect Madden Ultimate Team cards every year. I play Madden Ultimate Team, which is essentially where you can rip packs on Madden that you pay for with like digital currency that you have to buy
Right.
with real money. And like you pull packs and you get these real athletes, like say like Randy Moss, right? And then you can actually build a team with the cards that you pull and play those against each other. And you can trade them, sell them. There's a whole MUT economy that like I'm not gonna go into, but it's one of the coolest parts of the game is being able to actually collect and then play against someone else with those cards. So if I like pull a dope Randy Moss card, people are actually mad because like when you play online, there's only like 20 of those cards or some shit. And so if you pull one, you've got like one of the best cards in the game. I've seen people actually pay hundreds of physical real life dollars for a digital Michael Vick card that they can only use for 1 year because you have to buy new cards every season.
Yeah.
So
Because it's a capitalism game, man. That's what this trading. That's what I hate about trading cards. Is it is a capitalist contest of like nobody's business. But it is gambling.
And it's fun, and it's gambling for
children. It is gambling for children. These are much more. If you let your kids spend your own money on this is more gambling than a loot box. This is hardcore gambling.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, odds wise, shit. You might as well be playing the lotto to get a Charizard or some shit. I mean, I think you have better odds.
Honestly, you do.
Whatever.
And
you get it.
I think you. I don't know. It's close there. But anyways, Cape. What about you? Any trading cards that you're particularly fond of?
I'm not really big into trading cards myself, but I do really appreciate the fandom behind it. Just because, like, besides the whole scalpers thing, I do appreciate, like, what did you say before we went on the show? Like, I knew this through the spectator view or whatever. And I think that's something that I find very admirable of just, like, you really grow to learn to appreciate different kinds of universes that people have. But I've always found the whole mythos pretty interesting from the outsider looking in. Just like what kind of people are Yu-Gi-Oh people, what kind of people are Magic people, what people still stay to it. Like Magic people typically stay
and I
to
think
Magic.
those are the big three as far as the physical cards go. Hearthstone is in there if you're talking about digital card games as well. But I think that those are the three big ones. And honestly, if you look at it, I think that, to be honest, is it Yu-Gi-Oh? Is Yu-Gi-Oh the one that's actually the perfect blend? Because Pokemon to me is more collectible than card game. And Magic, I feel like, is more... Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh to me feel like more card game than collectible. And that aspect, like they are completely different animals. When you say trading card games and you talk about a spectrum between Pokemon and Magic, I think that's a it's a huge spectrum, So it's always been interesting to me. We talked a little bit in the intro about the resurgence of TCG. With franchises like Pokemon selling over 30 billion cards in 2020, what has caused this latest resurgence, Jake?
I think I said it before and I'll say it again. The internet hyping it up. Influencers getting in on it's a big one. Like some of the people we mentioned earlier, like I said, I really blame a lot of this on Logic. I mean, it was huge news whenever he bought a Charizard card for like $100 and something thousand in an eBay, like on a bid. And it was like, oh, this is what rappers are spending their money with. And it's
this is
just
their
like,
thing to flex
the dude's
with.
a millionaire. Yeah. Like, I mean, flexecution. So shout out Logic. But like, no, so it was one of those where like I think people started to just jump on that train and go, oh, okay, well, if somebody's gonna spend $100,000 on one card, and I can just spend a couple bucks on a pack of cards, then I'm gonna pull a bunch of packs. What they, but then everybody fucking thought that, and so then like you're selling out of packs, and then it's like, okay, well then how do I get packs? Well, I've got to buy them online. All right, well let's look on StockX. Okay, this is only $20 over retail. I guess I'll buy it. Now you've made it normal to buy Pokemon cards, like boxes, for $20 over retail, and so like now all these people are never gonna stop selling them because they can do that. They can wake up and go to the store and buy them all while you don't have the time to, and then resell them on StockX. They don't give a fuck. So anyway, I think the resurgence was caused by the internet. I think it's the internet's fault, like most things that's happened in the past decade or so. But like, I mean, it's still it is what it is.
Well, also, it's also definitely like 2020 as a whole. I mean, you said it very well.
That's a big one too.
Like, what's this Pokemon YouTuber going to do? Because he can't go out and do Pokemon Go. He's just going to open packs all day. And you hit the nail on the head on that.
And there wasn't anything coming out for that. And, again, these people they don't have much choices to do, so they're going to start opening packs. And also, people went through a lot of their old stuff. That wasn't just Pokemon cards that saw that resurgence, like antiques and just secondhand stuff. They're like, oh, I'm going through everything in the attic. Holy shit, I found all these Pokemon cards. And since more people were doing that all at once, and these cards were going at such high prices, I think that to me is what caused. I think it was building, and the point where the snowball started rolling down the hill and really started just going out of control was when Logic and Logan Paul and all these people started putting a price tag on first set Charizards.
Well, the largest price tags we had ever seen too, because when we were kids, some sold for pretty big, especially like not like as much, right? But there were rare cards. Like I remember, there's one now that's still one of the highest sell, like one of the most expensive Pikachu cards. That card was expensive in the 90s too, like especially and then in the early 2000s because of its rarity. There was only like 5 of them printed or some shit, right? And so it was like one of those things where it was already a mega rare card, but now we're seeing what used to be $5,000 cards. Like stuff like that going for $105,000, and you're just like, oh shit! So the Pokemon market is the housing market. Thanks, fucking capitalism.
Yeah, for real. But what do you guys think though? Is the latest resurgence a good thing or a bad thing? Right? Is this something that's really expanding the Pokemon fan base, or is this just scalpers gone wild? I mean, it's hard to argue that it's a good thing after seeing those videos in Walmart, right? Cape, what do you think?
I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, it's good for, the people who run it, duh.
Right.
But like, it's probably, I mean, who's the target audience here? Is it the kids, or is it, like, that's something that I keep on thinking about, like, who, like, are they taking cards away from kids just to kill the aspect of it? Like, that's what gets me,
right.
Yeah.
Jake, what do you think?
I've heard a lot of people talk about that. Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's good for the companies. I think it's good for TCG overall. Like, I think it's good that some of these cards have more value, because it's cool that something that I own, something that I'm interested in, does hold so much value, right? It's like, if like tomorrow, something happened and the sneaker market fell through, you guys can see I have some behind me. I'd be a little pissed. I've got a couple. I don't plan on reselling them, but shit, if times got hard, I probably ante up.
And sometimes it's good just knowing that you have that worth, like that the stock.
Yeah, it's like an asset in a way. Yeah, and so like I think it's good from that perspective, but I definitely think it's bad for, like Cape said, kids who are trying to get into TCG. Like when I was growing up, I didn't have to fight fully grown men for Pokemon cards. I just didn't. Like by then those cards, like they weren't selling for thousands of dollars, I guess. So that's why it's happening the way it is. So I get it, but it's why I also started making decks that I post on Facebook. Like, and I mean shit, I'll say it here. You can fucking DM me. I have decks that I build that I give away to anybody who has a kid that wants a deck. Because, like, I think all kids should be entitled to these cards. And if you rip packs, you're pulling so many duplicates and bullshit that you don't need. Give them a fucking way. Like, pay it forward, right? And so, like, no kid is entitled to a $100,000 Charizard. Fuck that. Fuck them kids on that front. But I do believe they deserve to be able to play with the cards.
If you're going through and setting up competitive decks, like, I could probably use one for one. Like, since now we're post-apocalypse, right? And I can go to a card shop and
You let me know if there's some specific guys. I literally have so many duplicate cards that I even hit up my sister-in-law who works at a library and asked her if they needed some donations of some shit. Cause like I have boxes of like stuff. And so it's just like, and it's all because I was like, obviously Charizard hunting, doing some shit like that, getting crazy with it. And so buying up a bunch of fucking packs and boxes for no fucking reason because I never got that Charizard. So
no, I agree.
Thanks for a cause.
But I do think the resurgence is good for TCG, right? I just don't think it's good for some people.
Well, here's my question. Is it good for TCG? Because I see Yu-Gi-Oh! On the cards there. I see Magic on the shelf there. Is it good for TCG or is it just good for Pokemon and baseball cards? That's the thing I want to say. Because people keep on saying, like, this is good for people getting into TCG. I used to say, like, oh, well, it's 50-50. Their scalpers get theirs, but TCG gets more popularity. I'm starting to actually tilt that scale back towards the scalpers and say, no, I think this is actually more of a problem with scalping than anything else. And it is a resurgence, yes, but I think it kind of is a bad thing in that regard. What do you think?
I hope it dies down so that I think it's COVID too. COVID
the printing, the other part about this that's a great point. The other part about this is that printing is limited and the supply will eventually meet up for Pokemon cards. And so this shouldn't be a big problem. So that is one of the problems with it is the printing of cards. Just like, the same reason that PlayStation is having problems with getting its supply out because it has the superchargers, the micro. You know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I mean. They're having a shortage of those, and that's not allowing them to produce as many PlayStation 5. Same thing with printing cards here. And so that once that production does ramp up, the market's going to be flooded with a lot more supply, and that could actually relieve the pressure.
Pulling them hurts stuff like that anyway.
Do what?
Target doing what it did by pulling them out and not selling them anymore, like making it like a no-no thing. It honestly like hurts it even more. Like I just like I was really hoping that what Pokemon would do, not hoping, but kind of like secretly hoping, was that Pokemon would go, oh, y'all want cards? And then just fucking mass print. Like make it almost like crash the market with just how much Pokemon cards are on the market. But I don't think they would ever do that. And I don't think they physically can, if I'm being honest. Like you said, they have to be printed. And, they only have so many factories and so much they can do, especially during COVID. And so like, I think that added a lot of factors to it. Was limited supply. It was resurging online as most things were during COVID. And so, like, it may actually be bad. I mean, Nelly made a good point, though, that for people who, like, missed out on Pokemon cards because of the drops, they may have gone, oh, well, little Billy, why don't you grab Yu-Gi-Oh? And then you've got a new kid who's getting into Yu-Gi-Oh that may have went there for Pokemon, and so there could have been some spillover to the other ones, I doubt it's as much as, we would hope. But I think there probably was
I hope there is.
There was definitely some kids who went and got Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic maybe because
I still see Yu-Gi-Oh decks up there, and honestly, sometimes I'm tempted just to see what they are, just because I love trading card games in that dimension. And I could still play Yu-Gi-Oh. I feel like you could just, if you updated me on a couple of rules, I think I could still play Yu-Gi-Oh.
I've heard bad things. I've heard they've changed a lot of tournament rules that used to be like, and it's made a lot of like older fans pissed because it's not like their headcanon anymore, because they're like. I think a lot of people watched the show and then wanted to play the game a lot like how the show operated.
And there's differences. There's big differences.
And there's so many differences. Yeah. And I think they've made even more differences. Like the list of banned cards in Yu-Gi-Oh is sick. It's sickening. Like look it up sometime because it'll be stuff that you played with and like Pot of Greed and stuff like that. It's illegal. You can't even use those cards anymore. And so
that's ridiculous. I definitely remember Pot of Greed on there.
Ridiculous.
Kate, what do you think? Do you think this latest resurgence is a good thing or a bad thing? Or did I already ask you that? I think I already asked that, did I? I did ask that. Yep. One thing that helped push TCG into the mainstream was moving digital, right? Magic Online was released in 2002, quickly became popular and started its own line of tournaments. The internet promised to transcend borders and connect players in a way that tabletop gaming could not. Nonetheless, it would take another wave of development for the digital genre to come into its own. Do you think this digital wave has helped TCG become what it is today? Jake, we'll start off with you.
I mean, I definitely think it played a role in it, but I don't think digital cards ever will hold the same value as physical cards. I've seen the chat popping off about
Yes.
NFTs, stuff like that. Like, and I definitely like think there are some digital things that'll, hold some value, especially if they are like an NFT and you can be the only person that owns that digital,
Right.
code for that one thing or whatever. Like, I can see the application there and like why it would be valuable, but I don't think in my lifetime I'll see, like, if you look at the overall, like if there's a bell curve average, right? I don't think I'll ever see digital cards catching physical cards on that average of like value, if you know what I mean, right? And so there'll be outliers, 100%, but physical trading cards are going to always overvalue, like I think the physical cards are going to overvalue the digital cards.
I mean, I think so for sure, but I think that there are.
I think it's monetarily and nostalgia wise too, because I don't hear many people going like I could have like probably bought a little Gengar card to keep on my computer. I guess I don't know, but like what the fuck is that compared to actually like having it? You know what I mean? Like I guess to me, I may just be old.
Yeah, no, I mean I get that, and then like the other thing to think about. Oh shit, I lost. But like digital cards for a lot of games, especially like Pokemon and Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh, the big ones that we talk about, there's already a physical aspect there, and a lot of these were made before digital cards were even a thing. So translating those over, like how do you get your Pot of Greed over to a digital format, even if you wanted to? I think the only one that's really thrived in the digital format and shown that the digital format is still viable is Hearthstone. Hearthstone exists completely digital, but it is a trading card game.
Yeah.
And I think that Hearthstone is a competitive game on the same level at Fortnite is, and it's brought trading card games into that arena. So I do think the digital wave has helped TCG tremendously, actually, if I had to argue one. Cape, what do you think?
I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because, like, it's kind of like comic books. Again, I keep on going back to comic books. I'm sorry. They will do it less, but they won't completely take it out altogether because there's something about having it physically that is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
And
True.
As popularity of both physical cards and digital trading cards continue to grow, so did the players that involved in producing cards. In March 2014, Blizzard, the company behind the cultural sensation World of Warcraft, released, of course, Hearthstone to 70 million players. And so it's safe to say that this game carved out a healthy slice of its own digital market. Nonetheless, it remains a big problem with Hearthstone. Drumroll, is it an actual trading card game? Does having the actual physical tradable cards disqualify it as a trading card game? Cape?
I would say, I mean, you would always get the purists. That's the thing about it. You're always going to get those people that go, well, actually,
Right.
I mean, you're always going to go the people that say, well, I have this, well, I have this. Like, I've read The Long Halloween. I have all 13 issues. But, like, some people are like, I have to trade paperback, or I've read it online. Like, who's the real winner? I mean, it's just, there's always going to be that one person that wants to one-up.
Right.
Yeah.
Jake, your thoughts? Does TCG have to be physical to be a trading card game?
Yeah, I mean, to quote Doofus Rick, I'm not going to tell you that these will go up in value or even hold their current value, but you bought them because you like them, so they have value to you, and that's all that matters. So
That's
I don't think they have
90s
to
answer.
be physical, but I do think tradable is kind of a must for a trading card game. So that's
I'm not positive whether or not Hearthstone's cards can actually be traded or not, but
when I read preparing for this, they can be you can I think it's called like you can basically like destroy the cards for more points to buy other cards, and I think you can send people points or something like that, but you can't physically trade people.
But another name for trading card games is a synonymous one, and probably a lot of the reason why people prefer CCG as a thing versus TCG is
Yeah.
they are collectible cards, and that is 100%.
Collectible cards.
I think that it's hard to say that Hearthstone isn't a collectible card game in that regard. And to me, you don't need necessarily the physical, the tradable aspect of it, especially if you have a game that functions like Hearthstone does, where it's designed to be like a trading card game, and I think that should be recognized as what it is and not have some kind of weird asterisk by it just because it is adapting and putting itself in a place where it can be on the same level as Fortnite, So that's my answer to the question of do you actually need physical trading cards? I don't think so. Trading card games are a very foundation of modern gaming communities. When Magic the Gathering started all the way back in the 90s, nobody could have predicted the breadth of the reach, right? Over the decades, as technologies have changed, so has the genre evolved, right? In times like these, it's crazy to think all this goes back to Milwaukee in 1993 when the world discovered TCGs. But we do want to end on this question. We looked at the past and everything, and we've talked about what's going on now with TCG. Looking forward, where do you guys see the future of TCG heading? Jake, we'll start with you.
I think the hype on some of these will subside.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that's just the natural course, like we were talking about earlier, cycling.
Right.
Something else will be launched into the zeitgeist, and like moths to the light will gravitate towards
right.
it. But I think TCG will remain. Obviously, it'll always be here. It's been here since '93, and so it's done nothing but grow in popularity. And so I think until the world's economies collapse, we'll be trading cards or buying cards.
I think afterwards, though, I think that to me.
We'll use them like bottle caps in Fallout. It'll be like, hey, do you got a loaf of bread? I got a fucking Charizard.
Right. No, the Charizard will get you a mansion, right? I think that you're going to be like, all right, for a loaf of bread, I'll give you this Wooloo. That holds. I think to me, as a millennial, we would see an easier system of value that you could easily determine out of Pokemon cards than we could others. If we're going to make our own money, I think Pokemon cards is a great bet for our own money.
It's like, I'll give you 2 packs of cards and a marble red or some shit.
Right.
And you're just like, here's a fresh fish.
So
the end times are pretty
So
fun.
Jake went to the whole fucking apocalypse as far as where he thinks the future of TCG is going. Kate, where do you...
All
right.
come to an end, my friend.
Jake's like, where do you think the future of TCG is going? We're going to be trading them as money in the apocalypse. Okay, that's not where I thought it was going to go, but no.
Yeah. Weird flex, but we'll go with
What
that.
about you, Kate? Where do you think the future of TCG is going?
People are always going to want what the next guy doesn't have or what they don't have. So, it's just going to be in the state of comic books, as I said before, of just... They're still going to print them. They're still going to do digital. And, but I don't know exactly, how they're going to evolve and all that. I think they're still, it's crazy to think that it's still rather, quote-unquote, new. And it's kind of weird
it's 40 years old at this point. We need to stop thinking of things that started in 1993 as new. I think at least... 93... 73...
I was born in 90.
Okay, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, so, 30 years. Yeah.
So
you're still new, Jake.
7 years.
You're
I'm still new.
Jake.
Don't be throwing 90s kids into the 40s bracket, son.
Yeah, no, you're right. Numbers are hard. Everyone in the chat is going off on me.
I have socks on.
Right. Yeah. So numbers are hard.
But,
I started in 93.
Yeah. For real. All right, well, that will wrap it up for our deep dive on Heart of the Cards. And everything going on in the world of trading card games right now. It's a lot of good prep for a video that we've got coming out hopefully shortly. We're looking at sometime later this week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. Keep a lookout on our YouTube channel for it on the history of TCG. And I'm telling you, we start all the way at fucking where card games started, and then we go to where we are now of Rob and Walmart. So it's a really great video. And it's got a lot of cool stuff in there, and we worked our ass off on it, so definitely go check that out later on this week. But that will take us to our top Zen. A lot of this talk on TCG really got us thinking about some amazing collectibles, and our crow brains love to collect cow brains. Oh man, it's been a day. Our crow brains love to collect. Rather, if it's trading cards or Beanie Babies, everyone has something that they love to stockpile, like it's milk and bread in a southern snowstorm. Or, yeah. Anyways, a little bit of flashbacks there to February, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
you're like, it's snowing, grab the
What's
milk and
going
bread.
on? Where Ted Cruz's daughter saved me. So this week we wanted to give you our top 10 coolest collectibles, and I'm kicking us off with number 10, which is going to be Pez dispensers. So Pez dispensers, this was a controversial pick, mostly because like the number 10 pick always boots something off that really could probably be on here as an honorable mention, and we'll talk about a lot of those at the end. But these wacky sweet dispensers Pez, sweet dispensers of Pez have been popular since they were invented in 1927. But did you know that some of the older, rarer dispensers are bona fide collectibles? The Pez collecting community is alive and well, and the rare Pez dispensers can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars on eBay. These collectibles dispensers are often featured of the heads of popular characters of the time.
Yes.
Sculpted in plastic, such as Mickey Mouse or Darth Vader. The most expensive Pez dispenser, however, doesn't feature a popular character at all. Instead, the dispenser is crowned and sculpted with the head of an astronaut. The most expensive Pez dispenser is the 1982 World Fair's Pez dispenser, and is believed to be an extremely rare promotional item. In fact, it is only two are currently known to exist. One features a blue stem and an astronaut with a matching blue helmet. The other featuring a green stem and a white helmet, and at one point was on sale for $100,000. Most recently resurfaced on eBay in 2006 and sold for $32,000. That's a steep drop off. It's $32,000. Unfortunately, not.
I think at one point Pez made it hotter.
Yeah. Unfortunately, not every old Pez dispenser from your collection is going to bring in the dough, unless you were lucky enough to save one that's super rare. But that isn't the case with like most collectibles? Isn't that how the cookie crumbles in that? Yeah, it is kind of the game for sure. So I know this was a weird pick on here, guys. I do know that the astronaut one goes for a lot, but I know that Santa Claus one is one as well that goes for oogles and oogles of money, and it's just literally you'd think that there's a bunch of Santa Claus Pez dispensers, but
there's a Darth Vader one that came out as a promotion that's like a $4,000 or $5,000 one, and it's just crazy to think of like a little Pez dispenser that like we've probably owned and thrown away already as a kid, and so that those fetch such a high price. But you should know, there's literally a market for everybody for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Welcome
to the internet.
Exactly.
It's gonna be in your head all day, isn't it?
But that isn't even by far the weirdest one we have on this countdown. In fact, number 9 is much weirder, and like Cape himself, he's going to be doing this next one. So belt buckles. Tell us why belt buckles makes number 9 on the countdown, Cape. Tell us why belt buckles beat out so many of these other ones, Cape.
Well, this one is me specific. If you guys know me, I have belt buckles, and yeah, my eyes are up here. But for all you cool cats and kittens, I've done this since high school. Yeah, I've done it since high school, and I have probably like 30 or 35 in my collection. And I really like them because I like to show my geekiness. It's like Dodd's hats, Like, I like to show my geekiness, but I don't like to be too loud. But some of my prized ones are, I have a Tron Legacy light cycle with an identity disc when Tron Legacy came out. Looks pretty freaking awesome. It looks like that one, going the wrong way. It looks like that one right there on there. I've actually gotten some custom made for where I worked at. So, like, I got a NASA one when I worked at the Space and Rocket Center. And another unique one I have was, I have a Mountain Dew one. And if you looked really close, it's that one in that thumbnail right there. it has little tiny bat symbols around it. So when the Dark Knight came out, you could win.
You
like, when
literally
you're
put
drinking voltage.
your favorite belt buckles on the image, didn't you? Yeah.
I did. I did.
You did, yeah.
And then also, I didn't
Number
take a picture
9's
of
for
them, I
Cape,
just saved
guys.
it for online. Yeah, definitely. But still, like, they're very unique. I like them because they can be very subtle. Like when I do photography somewhere, I wear that one right there, the one that's the AE1
I just
Canon
imagine you walking around
camera.
now with your hands on your belt buckle everywhere you go. Like,
Well,
you
Well,
guys
I
don't
mean, you're
look
one
like
from
you're
Texas,
from
so you should know about
around these
those.
parts.
I know. No,
No,
I get
like,
it though. I used to
Yeah.
collect, or I don't want to say collect. I really only had like 3 or 4 belt buckles in, like, I think high school. I think I started. I had a few back then
I
too.
went through
I
a
wear
phase
belts.
where I wore everything that had a Fox logo on it, and I had a Fox belt buckle for a long time, like Fox the motorcycle brand thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah,
that's interesting.
fucking
Fox
Yeah, I
hell.
know,
is,
right?
oh,
Right.
like that's what I would collect, and I still wear them and stuff like that, and I have them all unique and whatnot, and they're like it's one of those
You
things
have
that
some
you don't know that's a
Etsy's
big world.
or
Somewhat.
Etnies? Did you have some Etnies with those Fox logo? Like all those Fox T-shirts. You
No,
have some
I was
Etnies
one of
on
the
with it
posts.
too.
Like, I had people that would comment on my Facebook pages like, "Do you ride motorbikes?" I was like, "What do you mean?" And like, you're wearing
Did
Fox,
you
and I was
wait?
like, "And?" Like, I like the shirt,
Yeah,
you know.
I like Foxes.
Did you buy all that then? I think that was the store
Yeah, something like that.
or Spencer's. I
No,
don't know.
it was
But anyway,
PacSun. PacSun
that
was with those
is.
son. Yeah.
Pack, son.
Well, actually, I got some of my belt buckles from there.
See,
Ayo.
look, yeah,
Pack,
So,
son.
boom.
Shouts out. I
yeah,
think they declared bankruptcy.
They didn't sell enough
yeah,
belt buckles, man.
probably like when Walls
You
did.
know,
Probably
they
more
clearly
than
didn't.
Kate,
But
anyways,
anyways,
keep them alive.
no, no. I remember actually I got one of my first ones from there. Actually, it was a Batman one, and like everyone wanted to give me a Batman belt buckle. They're like, "Oh," but I'm like, actually, I have a Joker one that's actually cooler. But anyways, that's number 9 in my genre, and that's probably the weirdest one we got here. So Jake, what do we got for number 8?
Yeah, this week at number 8, we have one that's probably a little bit more relatable. Vinyl
Yeah.
records. All those records of yesteryear aren't just being stored, they're being played too. And the fact that many music lovers are reverting to listening to records makes them all the more collectible. Some vinyl will be worth a lot, and other records will be worth only what you paid for it, and maybe even less. But adequately storing your record is essential, regardless. You never know which record may suddenly have a spike in value, but if you're like me, not everything's about resale value. Personally, I like to collect vinyls because of all the bonus content you get with them. Remember when you used to buy a CD and it would have a little booklet in it and it would come with like lyrics and a bunch of other stuff like who wrote the songs and all that shit? Well, thanks to the digital age, those things are like long forgotten. But with vinyl, it remains one of the best features of it. And so not only is the sound superior to some, but the additional artwork, lyrics, and plethora of other things that they include in most vinyl records make them well worth the price, even if you don't ever plan to sell them in the future.
Yeah.
And so that's why vinyl makes number 8 on
I've
this
started
week's
actually
countdown.
collecting some vinyl records. I have the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance on vinyl, and a copy of Masked Intruders, which is a crappy punk band.
Did you guys ever go to All Music? Like we all went
Oh,
to
yeah.
Alabama here.
Everybody went
Oz
to Oz
Music
Music.
is the
Yeah,
shit, man.
If you didn't go to Oz Music, you weren't cool. Like, we didn't hang out, you know? Like,
Well, like,
Yeah.
what was the thing? If we won a game, it was like 20% off or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it
they
was
would,
like
yeah.
20.
They would run some cool promos. I used to love that store. Honestly, I think that's where I bought
I bought-
some of my
I bought
first
a-
vinyls because I first got into
I bought a
vinyl in
Limp
college.
Bizkit Greatest Hits
And so
album
nice.
from them.
And
Limp
I
Bizkit's
did,
greatest
seriously.
hits.
Yeah.
Introducing
and if you notice, Jake,
chocolate
since I made the
starfish
thumbnail,
and the hot
You
dog
notice-
flavored water.
100%.
thumbnail, Jake, I actually put the Lafa
Yeah.
Pablo.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
where I
yeah.
made his graduation cap with.
The Kanye album that I do own, well, I own 2 Kanye albums, is Dark Twisted Fantasy. Holy shit. That one has, Kanye came out with 6 different album arts
Yeah.
for that one, and he sent them to different stores. And so depending on where you were in the country, you got a different album art, you know, like than
Oh,
some other
wow.
places. And it was a really cool kind of a thing he did. But if you bought the actual vinyl, all of them were actually like in the thing printed out, and you could just pull them out and change it however you wanted, which was like this super cool thing. And like that one has a lot of extra artwork and everything in it. It's a gorgeous album with a ton of, I mean, it's a beautiful album musically, and then a beautiful vinyl to own as well.
Yeah, and that one is your graduation cap too.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I love
You changed it from Life of Pablo to Life of Debt, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Life of Debt. Yeah, because I mean, college. I'm still paying that off.
Just got college. Yeah.
But I could have paid it off by now if I would have collected some shit for number 7. Tell us what number 7 is.
Yeah, number 7 is just Star Wars shit in general. And the reason Star Wars has its own paraphernalia, memorabilia, however you want to categorize it. But Star Wars is in a class of its own. People will fucking collect Wheaties boxes with Darth Vader on it, whatever the case may be, especially if you get stuff from the early Episode 4 release kind of situations. Star Wars is a cultural phenomenon that you know, with its own holiday, and branded items are hot. The franchise toys are popular collectibles that are gaining in value. And if your Star Wars collection has a lot of items from the original trilogy, you could have a nest egg of close to $1 million, or at least you'll have, you know, toys worth money in the future. One fan got $505,000 for his Star Wars collection of 600 items, according to CNN.
Yeah.
Some items, however, were worth more than others. For example, a pristine multi-pack of 7 Star Wars action figures from The Empire Strikes Back sold for more than $30,000, 3 times its estimate. And a recalled Luke Skywalker toy sold for $25,000 on its own. So, meanwhile, Yak Face, a creature from Return of the Jedi, only sold for $7,000. And a Return of the Jedi Anakin Skywalker figurine sold for only $3,000. So, some of these may be cheap ways to celebrate Star Wars, but some may be worth saving in the future. And that is also why I have just a bunch of Star Wars stuff that I collect. One, I got
Incubus,
this shirt.
I want to give Incubus a real...
Okay, what you got?
The biggest. He said, I sold all my 70s and 80s Star Wars memorabilia in a yard sale when I was a kid, and he did it because he wanted a Super Nintendo. Somebody said, was it worth it? And he's like, no.
Yeah,
but
no, exactly.
Because, like, no lie, and it's funny that he commented that as you were reading that a bunch of Star Wars, you know, like, sold for $500,000, you know, like from that time period. And so
this is my Star Wars collection, and I don't know if it's worth anything. I got a Lando Calrissian.
That does hurt.
Right?
Oh, that's dope.
Or something in your heart.
And
that's the DVD
the
box
original. No, the VHS box set.
That's the VHS, the trilogy.
That's the VHS trilogy.
Oh, dude, that's hype.
That may be worth something.
That is hype.
Hopefully someday. I think it's gonna be. Oh. That's how you know it. That's how you know it's real, right? That's how you know the real experience, right?
Dawson over here making it
back in 1980 on VHS. What? Well, like you could argue that Star Wars touches every one of these categories.
Right, it does. It really, really does.
Yeah. And that's the thing that makes it so unique, I think.
Yeah, it's involved in every single one of the categories that we talk about on the collectibles aspect. I'm sure there's a fucking Star Wars belt buckle out there for you, Cape, somewhere. 100%. And I think that as a franchise in itself, you know, Pokemon definitely comes close because its merchandising is a pretty heavy part of its market and making it one of the biggest entertainment franchises in the world. But Star Wars, as far as the collectible aspect of it, and people fucking like, you know, fighting kids for a broken Boba Fett toy with a fucking missile launcher in the back. I mean, like the hype is real, and that's why it earned a number 7 spot on our countdown. But
I can see why.
Yeah, there's
should have been higher, but it's got some hard ones to beat.
It does have some hard ones to beat. There's a lot that goes into Star Wars. They've built up a franchise for a really long time. But, you know, speaking of building franchises, though, number 5 in the countdown is did we miss one? Oh no, number 6 in the countdown, which is somehow out of order, is going to be Legos. Why are Legos in the countdown? Cape?
Number 5 on the countdown is Legos. Sure, Legos
6
are
on the countdown.
6. Sorry.
Yep.
Sure, they're considered playthings and whatnot, but in fact, the word Lego comes from the Danish word meaning "let go." I can never say that right, which also means play well. Companies, regardless of what people think of when they think of some collectibles, yeah, some Lego bricks are keys to marketing creations, and they're not much worth on their own. But if you have to know certain Lego sets, you could probably be in a load of cash. Like, I mean, everyone knows about the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, but I mean, but also like it can go for hundreds and thousands of dollars. And
Savage in chat goes, little hell blocks for your feet.
They are.
yeah,
They are.
true.
Yeah, they are. They've
Yeah,
been the bane of
definitely.
everyone's existence.
But they do the same thing that they cover so much in pop culture because everything can do a collab with Lego, and so
Right.
that makes so many Legos so valuable.
Well, you know,
Right.
that's actually what brought it back is that Legos were not anything like for a while, but when they started getting merged from like, you know, college football, from, you know,
Star Wars.
NFL, Star Wars, for Lord of the Rings, they touch when you see
Batman.
something that touches a lot of stuff, like my favorite
Yeah.
socks are Stance socks. They have all different kinds of brands. That tells you something that about that brand because you can get so much merch and trademark with it. It's pretty interesting as but you know.
Yeah.
But,
So,
I mean, I find it pretty cool. So
Lego sets coming in at number 6. I mean,
Do you
I
have
get
any
it.
Legos?
I don't have a Lego set. I do not have those personally, but I will say that I have been to places where like I've gone in and into friends' rooms and they've had like the full Lego set that they're super duper fucking proud of, just as much as I am when I don't know. I don't have anything that I collect that I think I really actually feel that as passionately as those guys did about. Maybe some of my old Pokemon cards, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of pride that goes there because it's not just a collectible that you. Honestly, it's usually not one that sits in the box either, right? This is not a collectible that people are just like, oh, this is gonna sit here on the shelf. People build it, and I think that's one of the things that really, to me, does make it stand out about it. Like Funko Pops stay in the box. Fucking. There's a debate on whether or not Pokemon cards are worth more in the pack.
Yeah.
Probably a pack like this, it might have been worth more as an unsealed pack. So there's a debate, but with Lego sets, that is the one that people they actually build it, they set it up, and there is a engaging part of it. So it's not just something that you collect, but it's something that you built too. You know?
Yeah. I think that adds to it too. It
Right.
adds a little bit of personal value in a way.
Right.
For something
does,
that's
it
already
does.
super expensive.
Right. Well, speaking of something that's super expensive, though, and has personal value to you, Jake, number 5 in the countdown are sneakers. Tell us why sneakers make the countdown.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a huge market for first edition and limited edition release sneakers, which are traded almost like a form of currency sometimes. And as with bottles of wine, brand new or even gently used sneakers often go up in value over the years. This tends to be especially true for limited edition styles made by Nike or Adidas. What's new today may become more valuable in vintage item before long. Used original Nike Air Jordan 1s from 1985 can sell for $1,500. And a mint condition pair recently sold on eBay for $4,000. The original retail price, $65. So it's not just Jordans. Kanye's Red Octobers are one of the shoes that I've always wanted myself, and they sell for over $10,000 a pair. While popular limited release shoes like the ones pictured here, the Back to the Future Nike Air Mags, sell upwards of $65,000. And so that's heavy.
Yeah.
And boom, that's a Back to the Future joke. Anyway,
So-
sneakerheads have become mainstream over the years, and more people joining the chaos that is drop culture. It doesn't look like that it'll be slowing down anytime soon. But with the artists and athletes dropping new shoes all the time, we've even got Satan shoes now by Lil Nas X. So I mean, there's literally everybody is getting in on it, including the devil. And so
In human blood, evidently, right?
But no, like, I mean, sneakers in general have just become a huge part of the zeitgeist, especially within popular culture over the years. I think almost every rapper, athlete, celebrity, whoever might have you, influencers or whatever, like the rich people that we're supposed to care about, All of them are wearing some type of cool sneaker these days, and I've always just loved sneakers because I'm a shoe guy. I like different outfits. I
Oh
like
my
different
gosh.
shoes, and so
Yeah, Littlest Nelly in chat said the Nike Shox recalls that I had in middle school are selling for 150K on eBay.
yeah,
That's
you'd be
crazy.
shocked at some shoes what they sell for and what there's some shoes that are like they're invaluable in a way. Like recently, Kobe Bryant's wife actually had done a collabo with Nike for Kobe and their daughter, and like that shoe was only supposed to be a concept, and somehow somebody got one of them, and so like she like kind of got like mad about it. There was a whole like stink on it about the internet this past week, but it's one of those things where like the guy who bought it, he was like, I just bought it resale. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know that Kobe Bryant's wife, Vanessa Bryant, wouldn't want this kind of like sold or anything like that. And how it got out of the Nike factory, people really don't know, and that hasn't been like found out yet. But it's crazy that now like somebody out there has basically what is just a pair of one shoes made for Kobe Bryant and his daughter that like no one else will ever own. And so that's an invaluable piece of member like how you said like what that's gonna sell for when it eventually sells is gonna be stupid.
Yeah,
And
no, for real.
So sneakers all over the place, and that's why
So
they're
did
number
you
5.
did you just do it for kicks or what?
You just want to make that joke the whole time.
Yeah,
You've been
really
sitting there
holding
just
out, didn't you? Like
you
his
see the
mustache was
vein
tingling
popping,
the whole time. That was
right?
Kate, make it now.
No, but I find it very interesting as a whole. I mean, just because it's something that, what is it? Like when designers design a building, they're said to make a chair because it's supposed to not stick out so much. But you've seen many people design their own shoes. And it's
Right.
very interesting what different artists will design their own shoes as, and like not only looking good, but also like what brand would they go with and stuff like that. And I mean, I see the ones in the background that you have. I mean, it's very interesting.
Mostly
Yeah.
Or mostly Jordan.
I mean,
That's what I fucks with. But that's why sneakers
Yeah.
made number 5 on the countdown. Number 4 is another one that's actually behind me. They're just probably harder to see. Can you tell the people what number 4 is on the countdown, Doc?
Yeah, that's comic books, right? The thing with comic books is that even the most minor defect can impact the value tremendously. I think I have. Did I hang up that one? I don't think. Oh yeah, I did. No, so that is my prized possession actually. Let's see if I can take it off the wall here.
Quick, everyone talk bad about Don.
It's an
Oh,
interactive episode.
perfect. Here we go.
Interactive.
Do what?
Show and tell.
Oh shit. Okay, my bad, gal.
Oh, no, I just meant,
y'all
like,
liked it anyways.
This is show and tell. The
Oh,
ass was
okay.
fat. That's fine. No, I'm just
Oh, okay. I was just making sure. Did it look nice? Just want to
we
make
weren't
sure.
even commenting on that. I was just saying, show us the comment.
So this is my prized possession here as far as comics go. This is the Judas Contract. This is the first appearance of Nightwing, and the original origin story of Deathstroke. His wife shot him in the eye. Haha, that's how he get it. But anyways, that's my prized possession. I think it's worth $350.
Hey,
So
In your heart, it is
for a comic.
priceless.
that's
for
like
a comic, that's a pretty good price.
like a
That's
300% increase on the.
yeah. So that is. Look, Savage loved it. Yeah,
I mean, I like it a
he's
lot,
going.
too.
Savage is going crazy on it. So,
Yeah.
I think
He's
that
fine.
just because your comic collection might contain some rare vintage copies doesn't mean it's guaranteed that it's worth $1 million. You have to take into account additional factors when you're buying or trading comic books. For example, you should figure out your comic's marketability. Comics with classic covers or first appearances are typically more valuable. Sure, comics might be for reading, but try to tell that to an avid comic book collector. The main rule of thumb: sticky hands off mint conditions can be worth sticky hands off of mint conditions as mint conditions can be worth millions. Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. Got that sentence out. Jesus Christ. For instance, a 1938 copy of American Comics #1 sold for sold in 2014, sold for $3.21 million on eBay. Action Comics #1 featured the first appearance of Superman and cost 10 cents when it debuted. In addition to being vintage, the comics The comic is rare. Only 100 or so copies exist. In fact, any first edition of a comic book series could be worth serious monies.
Yeah.
To go from 10 cents to $3.21 million. That's a good investment. That's a real good price increase. I'll tell you that much. For sure.
Like I remember when that happened. The guy found it in his basement, and it was in a cool, dark place. And I didn't realize how much like stuff has changed since then, because like we went through World War II and we had to get rid of paper. And then, like he kept it in a cool, dark place, which is the perfect condition. There's just a bunch of how convenient stuff to go with it.
No,
but
have you guys ever heard the tale of Nick Cage's first edition? Nick Cage bought an Action Comics #1 on a market. Like I think he paid over $1 million for it. I think he paid 1.5 or 2 or something like that. Had it in his house, and someone broke in and stole it, and it was missing for years. Then someone found it in a storage building, like literally like someone's storage, like the storage wars type people that buy those storage sheds whenever like people don't pay rent on them. A guy did that, opened them up, found a bunch of vintage comic books, and one of them was the Action Comics #1, and he knew that's not right. Like there's no way this comic would be sitting in here. And so like he like after doing some digging, they were able to trace it back, and that was Nick Cage's stolen Action Comics 1. And so now the Cage has it back. And so
there you go.
He did steal the Declaration of Independence though. So
it was only, karma.
He steals the Declaration of Independence and then loses Action Comics #1. Priorities.
Yeah. Well, like
I think the Action Comics #1's more valuable personally, but
it is. That's what I'm saying. Priorities, right? I mean, like if the Declaration of Independence has already been trampled on by every politician that's walked through the Senate, so like that aspect has already been devalued to shit,
yes,
right?
right?
But Action Comics #1. That still got some good value on it. $3.21 million. I think that still holds up.
Yeah. Well, like I already told this to Dodd, but Jake, do you actually know what the newest comic that's worth the most?
The newest comic that's worth the most money?
Yes. Well, like last time I checked it.
Oh man.
The Walking Dead.
Really? The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you told me about this earlier when we were doing this stuff, because when I was doing the images, that's why I included The Walking Dead in there. That's
it's like
most expensive comic right now.
2003. I'm sure something else has beat it, but last time that's what I remember, because it's worth so much because it became so hype so fast, and people want to.
Comics are a lot like, I mean, there's a lot of like I think the value of comics like The Boys have went up since The Boys came out, and like the value of Preacher and like other comics like that, they obviously sell for more after pop culture kind of like something big comes out with them, right? And so and I think the whole superhero resurgence, or I don't want to say resurgence, but like when I was a kid, our superhero movies were essentially like Christopher Reeve's Superman from the 80s. And then Tim Burton gave us Batman in the 90s. And we had the zany kind of Batman shit. This whole like Marvel,
and it got worse as it got older. Like you started off with the good one in '89, and it was like, oh, this is great, this is fantastic. And then you got to the one in '93. It's like, this is not as good as the first, but it's pretty good because Tim Burton's still doing it. And then it got just
progressively shit the bed. And so
you had Val Kilmer. And you just had terrible direction.
So I would say it's a resurgence, but like I think that's made comics even more popular these days and even more valuable. It's just people being into the characters even more so.
Yeah, definitely. And then just like how they're timeless in a way. And if anyone wants it, what is the old saying? If anyone will put, money on what they want. I forgot exactly the quote. You get it.
Well, like broken movie quotes.
Speaking of broken parts from movies, number 3 on the countdown, Cape, is movie props. Tell us why movie props makes number 3 on the countdown.
Well, to earn at least $1 million from a movie collectible, you must own it first, which might be a bit difficult, but these things are highly sought after. For example, cult films such as Wizard of Oz or Star Wars might impact from this because they may die suddenly. It's kind of like an artist in a way. Stuff gets more value when the person's dead and so on and so forth. And was it screen used? Was it the hero prop and so on and so forth? But take, for example, the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz. In Casablanca, for example, the costume sold for $3 million at Boehm's Turner Classic Movies auction, and the Casablanca
Right.
piano sold for 3.4 million, according to Hollywood Reporter. And since there's someone that really cashed out on Harrison Ford's, his blaster from Star Wars, like it sold for utmost, what was it, 550,000? But like, I collect some movie props. I have like,
See, that's what
none of them
I'm saying. Star Wars needs to be higher on this list because again, Star Wars making it up here on the movie props list too.
True, but like, it's just like it's
500.
interesting what people see as value on that. Like,
Yeah.
and now that we have 3D printers, people are printing props left and right. I have like a
Yep.
Gotham City police badge, the one that
Yeah.
the dog actually put on there. I have like a plate from Back to the Future that says "out of time," but like people will put
Wilson
money on
behind
what they want.
What you got, Jake? You're pointing at something.
I was like, is Wilson behind me? Can you see him over there?
Yeah, Wilson's behind you. Yeah, I managed to loop a lot of things in here with this
Yeah.
image. Okay, I'm pretty proud of myself with this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just named off random stuff, and he just put all kinds of stuff. He did a good job.
Yeah.
But like,
No.
it's very interesting now that movie props are becoming more high quality because
Yeah,
we're getting
they are.
higher quality on. We can actually see like Gandalf's stick is not just a glorified stick, But back in the day when it was hard to see, it was probably
Yeah.
like,
Look
You
at
know.
that. That's pretty good quality.
I can wear it, but I'm not gonna put it on right now.
Right.
But yeah, like I mean, they're making them pretty good. I want to buy the actual. They're coming out with a new gauntlet that you can snap.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
cool.
that.
Infinity Gauntlet.
Hasbro Dark has been stepping its shit up. I don't want to like. This is already the fucking like goblin capitalist cock episode. So if I
Right.
can give another shout out.
The Goblin
Dark.
Capitalist Cock. Man, why didn't you pitch that as the title for the episode?
Oh man, because Twitch would have flagged us.
Right.
But
Goblin
nonetheless-
Capitalist Cock.
I think it's very interesting how certain people will collect either screen used or not screen used, and like people who end up printing what they really appreciate. If you've ever delved into like, it's kind of like cosplay. You reach a point where you go, I want to make that, or I want to have that. Like, there's such
Right.
craftsmanship, it's insane, and it's very admirable. But number two is not very much craftsmanship, but it really touches a lot of universes. So what we got for number two, Jake?
Yeah, number 2 in this week's countdown is Funko Pops. And if you've never heard of Funko Pops, just dive into the nearest group of kids or collectors and ask them for an explainer, and they'll give it to you.
Yeah,
what
or
you'll
just
hear-
go into any like comic shop or,
Yeah.
or any nerd's apartment now. Like, who is a nerd that does not have a Funko Pop? Like,
Exactly.
to make sure.
What you'll hear is that Pops are cool vinyl toys that depict celebrities or characters from both the real life and pop culture. While many Funko Pops are mass-produced, others are made in very small quantities and usually available only at toy fairs, Comic-Con events, and other things. Some of the rarer figures have netted staggering returns. A Chewbacca figure released at Comic-Con in San Diego in 2011 recently fetched $2,700 on eBay. Based on the usual retail price of $20, that's about a $13,000%.
It's fucking insane.
13,000%, increase. And so, but for me, same with vinyl and a few other things. It's not all about profit, right? Funko Pops, made it to number 2 on the list for more than just being, able to resell sometimes, I guess. Their reason Funko Pops are so high is because there is probably a pop for literally everything on this
Yeah.
list. Star Wars, there's a pop for it.
Yeah.
Movies, comics, musicians, athletes, if it's a thing, there's a fucking Funko.
Yep.
And so there's almost no other collectible that spans so many genres and mediums and is able, to do it in a cohesive art style, right?
Yeah.
All of the products look the same, have the same branding and everything, but they all come from different backgrounds. And so I love my wall of Funko Pops. You can see a little bit of them. My camera's a little low or whatever, and I have some even above me right now. I've got them all the way from Marshawn Lynch to my personal favorite, Yusuke Urameshi with the fucking finger bang. And so, I mean, there's a reason why Funkos are so high, and I think it's because there's just so many different ones of them,
All right, 2 of my favorite Funkos. I think I've shown this one on stream before. As King of Shit Rick.
King of Shit Rick.
I got this one, I think for Christmas from one of my cousins actually. And then this one's always been a cool one. It's a bobbleheaded Rocket Raccoon one.
I love
And
the
it's
bobblehead
got
ones. Funko started
like
with bobbleheads.
right, it's got
They
this
did?
like jetpack thing in the back, so he like sits, he's
Yeah.
flying. So I thought that was a really interesting one.
Yeah,
So
Funko started with bobbleheads. That's why they look the way they do. See, this is my Yusuke one. I love your Meshi.
yeah,
There's not enough Yu Yu Hakusho merch, and I'm gonna bitch about that just real quick. Not enough Yu Yu Hakusho stuff.
you would
You
love
gotta
to
go.
collect it if you could, but you
Oh
can't.
yeah, no, I'd buy more. I'd buy more if they had it. But like, I guess since it came out in the early '90s or late '80s or whatever, there's just not as much hype around Yu Yu Hakusho. But Yu Yu Hakusho, one of the best animes ever made, and I
It's
need
one of
more
those
merch
sleeper
from it.
picks. One, you know,
And
like
so the fact that
everyone
Funko
does love Yu Yu Hakusho. Everyone knows it's foundational, and
and
just like
Tom showed it to you in the, you know what,
right,
Toonami, you saw it.
you saw it, you knew what it was. You might not have known the name, but you knew what it was. You were like, oh, it's with the yeah, it's got the guy with the green, and then there's the rose
Right,
guy, right? And you just the dude, yeah, you know all that stuff, and
Well,
people knew about it.
I find it very interesting what's popular so quickly, so fast. Like the fact
Yeah.
that those sold so fast and Funko started in 2010, it's just insane.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it obviously the popularity of them, given the almost more like it's a newer brand. It's not Lego. You know what I mean? Legos has been around for fucking before
Right.
me.
Oh
By
my
far.
gosh, Littlest Nelly
And
brought in a great point. One of the best things about Yu Yu Hakusho, sorry, didn't mean to loop this back to Yu Yu Hakusho again, is that banger of a fucking intro. Best intro in all of anime, in my
yeah,
opinion.
that does
That
have
has
a
gotta
really
be.
good one.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a guy who sometimes, I mean, not sometimes. I'm gonna be honest with you guys because I feel like we're friends. I skip anime intros and outros. I skip them every fucking time. I'm always like, I don't want to hear rock music. I'm trying to see what happens in the
Filthy.
next episode.
Filthy. Yeah. But with the in the countryside and environment gets me again. I don't know where to go.
And on that note, number one on our countdown this
Number
week,
one
which
on
has
our
basically
countdown.
been what the whole show was about in a way.
Whole show has been about the heart of the cards, trading cards. Obviously, this is the most collectible thing out there. Why? Because it's the biggest capitalism contest that you could have out there. Baseball cards may be quintessential example of trading cards, but and all their types. It may be the quintessential example of a trading card, but there are all types, like Pokemon cards, for instance. Trading cards in general are often valuable collectibles. You might be in luck if any of the cards in your collection are rare. In March 2016, the T206 Ty Cobb baseball card someone discovered in the trash made news after it was valued at about $1 million. Each was worth at least $150,000 according to the Washington Post. Like comic books, these fragile paper collectibles do best when they're kept in mint condition. Treat them how you would store a comic book, especially if you are dealing with a particularly rare example that could be worth millions too. A 1909-11 T206 Honus Wagner baseball card fetched $3.12 million through Golden Auctions in 2016, making it the most making it the most valuable card in history. 3 years earlier, a baseball card sold for $2.1 million. Reportedly, fewer than 200 copies of the card were ever made. Baseball cards aren't the only types of trading cards that are valuable, though, as we've seen earlier this year with Logic's six-figure Pokemon card purchase and a Charizard card that went for $183,812. Yeah. First edition collection of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of Darkness cards in mint condition can go for nearly $1,000 according to eBay listings, and a rare Magic the Gathering card sold for $166,000 on the site in 2019. So trading card games are definitely a hot commodity, but I think the reason that makes trading card games the best collectible is the intersectionality between collectability and practicality and like playability, right? There are trading cards, and if you really enjoy trading card games, then what you're going to get is you're going to go through and like these, you'll separate the ones that you want to play with and the ones that you want to collect. And I think that will change based on the card game, right? I think you'll feel differently about that for Magic cards. I think you'll feel differently about that for Yu-Gi-Oh cards. But that factor and that intersection, I think, is what makes trading cards the greatest collectible. Jake, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I think this was definitely one of the ones that there's a reason why it was number one. I think trading cards are, when it's all said and done, I think if you were to like look at the value of each single object, I think they beat out everything. Like as far as like there are what a few dozen or hundreds of these Pokemon cards that are worth $100,000 each,
Right.
kind of a thing. And there's literally like 7 Ty Cobb baseball cards were discovered in the trash that made and those 7 cards together were worth $1 million. So like that's
how many
crazy
cards have been thrown away, man.
That's the other thing is like the other, like no lie, and this is a true story. Right before COVID and the big like kind of like Pokemon resurgence that we've seen over the COVID time period.
You can talk about your mom dumping out your cards again.
No. I was at a thrift store. And we were dropping off some clothes because a lot of thrift stores will have the area where you can donate clothes. And so like because I don't like taking them like anyway. So anyway, I donated them to like this kind of like Christian mission thing or whatever. And on the ground was like hundreds of Pokemon cards, and it was clearly some kid's binder that like his parents had thrown away or something or whatever. It wasn't mine, right? And so like because this was like literally just like 2 or 3 years ago. But like I was like, damn, that sucks. That's obviously some kid's binders. I bet some of those cards will be worth something. And like I told Jessica, if they weren't in the trash, I may pick them up, but I didn't, and so I moved on. There's no telling what was in that fucking binder. I should have looked at least. So like when everything started to blow up again, I was like, God damn it! I bet that.
I should have looked at that fucking binder.
Someone reported me to
gosh.
find a rare card.
But yeah, no. So I think about that a lot. Is like think about some of these, and I would say that's probably even true for some Star Wars stuff. I would say it's true for a lot of like things that we pay a lot for, as far as like memorabilia is concerned. There's probably a bunch of it sitting in the Staten Island dump somewhere.
I mean, I wish that I hadn't been using my like prop lightsaber especially from when the prequels came out and stuff, to just beat the shit out of my brother, and actually like saved it and set it aside. I might have got some money out of it.
When I was a kid, one time I thought that I could open the box, and if I was careful and I just played with the toys for a little bit and then put them back into the box, that I would be okay.
Right.
And like, it wasn't until I got older that like I was like, I came to the realization, oh no, as soon as you open that box, Jake,
right.
They were
toothpaste tube situation, one of those things. Cape, how do you feel about trading cards making number one on the countdown?
I think it's very much our generation.
Yeah.
That's what I've come to the conclusion of after thinking about all these. And you guys saying it probably is worth less when it comes out of the box. It reminds me of like coins. People try to clean coins and they're worth less. When you clean the coin, it's actually worth less because it doesn't have that penta. I forgot what it's called on it. With the black stuff. But anyways, I think it's our generation is what I want to get at. I think it's fitting, not just because it's the theme of the show, but I think it's very fitting for this generation as a whole. And we're kind of taking it to our generation, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will do it for our countdown. For our honorable mentions, though, we have tons of honorable mentions. And yes, Lucifer, NFTs are in our honorable mentions. Just calm fuck down. We got them. They're in there. They didn't make the countdown, but NFTs are in there. Starbucks cups are a thing people collect. Jake, you were telling me that you're well aware of the Starbucks cup trend and collecting it. What's that all about?
My girlfriend Jessica loves Starbucks cups. That's one of the things that she every time we go to Starbucks, she has to look and see what cups are dropping. She's actually a part of this little this whole thing called the Leaf Rakers Society on Facebook. That's literally a whole it's mostly women who are dedicated, mostly white women, who are finding Starbucks cups, and they fucking love them, man. Some of them go too hard. Like Jessica, she's okay. We've got probably about a dozen of them.
What is going too hard to get a collectible Starbucks cup look like?
Dude, some of them will do crazy scalper shit, like backdoor access. Like they'll have a friend that works at Starbucks that'll sell them to them, and then they'll resell them. There's people who will go and buy all of them up to where Starbucks literally had to start making rules at some places where you can only buy so many, just like Pokemon cards, bro. Yeah. Literally, people, if there's something to go crazy over during the pandemic, people just decided to go full fucking tilt. And so and so Starbucks
they really did.
They're hot. They're a hot commodity.
Yeah. No,
Go
that's
to
a
your
big
local
one.
Starbucks next time it has a drop, and you'll know. You'll know
see.
because like people will be asking. There'll be people coming in and looking for them. You'll see some lady who you probably definitely didn't want to wear a mask during COVID, but maybe did because her friends would make her feel bad for it. She's in there yelling about some cup that they sold out of.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
What an apt description.
I paint pictures.
You do paint pictures. All right, so some other honorable mentions: coins and currency, classic cars, the classic cars, the collection for the uber rich. Well, there's a lot of these that are some of the collection for the uber rich. Movie props. You don't collect authentic movie props without dropping some pretty fucking coin.
Like Cape said, the fucking actual like a held prop from Han Solo blaster sold for $500,000. Like that's not something that your average Joe, a small loan of $500,000.
They need to realize that it doesn't work.
Yeah,
it doesn't work like it does in the movie.
But there are a lot of, I would say, collectibles that are for the ultra rich. Classic cars being one. That's the. I mean, jewelry, which is another one that's on our countdown. Like
our honorable mentions.
Yeah. Obviously, like jewelry is a big thing that a lot of people collect, and there's certain collectors. Tiffany's. There's people out there that collect Tiffany's.
Weaponry. Fig pins is one that's really going up in popularity. I've seen a lot of fig pins, and those are pretty fun to collect. I've got a collectible fig pin from
the little pins that like vinyl pin.
I'll show you what they are.
Like, the Supreme hoodie teddy bear that Jake for sure should own. Oh yeah, those things.
Yeah, I like them. I think they're fun. They're a fun little other thing to collect.
Beanie Babies should have made the countdown.
Beanie Babies should have made the countdown. Beanie Babies and stuffies, plushies, those would have been one, and I think that was the one that
squishable back here too.
Right, squishable. Those are crazy. The squishmallows. That's what it is. Yeah. Those are super hot.
Different things I never knew about.
Yeah, those are ones that that honestly this countdown was lacking. Was the plushie side, and I think that some of the other ones like belt buckles and Pez dispensers took their spot, and so those were the controversial picks.
We have to cause controversy.
Right, we have to cause controversy, and Cape had to have his belt buckles. So I'm kidding. Belt buckles is actually a good one. I give you shit about it. But commemorative coin collecting, lightsabers, comic book figurines, statues, and busts. That's a whole nother thing other than outside of Funko Pops.
And they're expensive too. I don't know if you guys have ever walked into a GameStop or a comic book store and looked at some of the figurines, but like they look amazing. Don't get me wrong, but then
but they start at like $200 a pop.
No, that's what I was gonna say. And then I'll look and it'll be like $300 for this dope ass Batman action figure, essentially. And it's not even an action figure. It's because it's a sculpture.
It's sculpture. It stays there. It just collects dust.
I don't know, buddy.
I look at them now as like this looks complicated to dust.
This looks
this looks too complicated to dust. Like when you have the capes going and billowing up behind it, I was like, what am I gonna stick a towel through there, or how do I?
Am I gonna get a Q-tip? Fuck
Q-tip, right? To just
does this bus think I am?
Right. To just maintain.
Put that in a UV case. Make sure it does have no sunlight to it. Like what?
Right. Yeah. Like that just seems it's a lot. It's a lot.
Hoping GameStop would eventually shut down so I could find one and be like, hey, how much for all this shit?
Right. Right. No, I'm totally. I was waiting for GameStop to hit the Blockbuster stage.
Yeah.
Right.
Where they start trying to give you shit for
free. And you can be like, hey, you're like, oh, Blockbuster's going out of business. And you're like, oh yeah, no, that really sucks.
Oh, other people
I think
may
you
not
can
know.
get like Destroy All Humans for like $3 at there. Like, oh, dude, really? I'm gonna go do that.
I was about to say, I don't think some of our viewers may know, but when Blockbuster was a thing and they started to shut down, if you had a Blockbuster near you, when it closed, they sold almost like all their pop culture shit they had in there and all that stuff for
games,
like
movies,
super cheap, movies,
cheap,
everything. And so, like, I remember I went to my local Blockbuster and fucked them up. They even had candy for like half off. Like, and so I bought a bunch of Reese's and
Incubus used to work at Blockbuster. Look at that.
Hey,
wow. Yeah.
Shout out to the OGs.
Yeah, for real. Well, Speaking of shout out to the OGs, that's a I was going to try to say OT. No, just end it. We're done.
We're at the end of the show.
We're at the end of the show, guys. I was trying to pull something there, but it wasn't working. That will wrap it up for this episode of Geek Life. Remember, you guys can always find us on all of our social medias. You can find that in the bio below. There's a big link tree. You can find our TikTok. You can find our Twitch. You can find our Twitter. All those good things. Definitely go check out those things. If you're a longtime fan and you've been here for a while, make clips, share them out with your friends. That's the best way. Just to let somebody know about the show. That's the best way to get it out there. Hopefully, the next show will have less technical difficulties because we won't have the person hosting also streaming. But right, double duty.
Double.
You can find, if you want to find me on Twitter or Twitch, you can find me at RuseBane, WRUSE_BANE. Jake, where can they find you?
You can find me at Gonzo Gone Live on both the Twitch and the Twitterverse.
And the
at
Doodler?
Jake Tyler on TikTok.
Oh, wait,
You can
sorry.
find me on Twitch and at Twitter on Caperdoodle. You can also find my TikTok at Doodle Dandy.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of cool stuff going on your stream lately, bud. You did like an Art Deco game night yesterday. That was really fun.
Yeah.
With
I've been.
I think one of the people you were doing it with was in chat earlier. Miss a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I love that's
Yeah.
a very clever name. I dig that.
Yeah.
No, your stream is looking good. Definitely have some cool elements on there, but you sent them to me very 80s vibe-ish, or like
Art
For
Deco.
when I'm just there.
Yeah,
I did Art Deco for just to have, and me and Dodd talked about it. I'm just playing with design as a whole. So
Yeah.
I mean, whoever
Oh,
shows
and
up,
the
shows
Be
up.
Kind Rewind stuff, that's got a big 80s vibe. I dig it. I like what you've been doing with it. So definitely go check out Caperdoodle if you haven't yet. Thank you so much to Lucifer's Lab, gifting subs out. And for Mariana 946 and Just Jess followed 4 hours ago as well. Kira Wolfire, thank you guys so much. Everybody for the
thanks
follows
to
today.
Caperdoodle for the sub.
Thank you to Caperdoodle for the sub. Thank you to me for producing. I was a fabulous producer. No, I wasn't actually. That was really hard to do all that at one time, guys. I'm not doing that again.
I think it still worked out really well. We had a good
thank
show.
you. You guys are nice. You guys are too nice. But yeah.
And he's like, I'm never doing this again.
I'm not from the host's point. I will go ahead and tell you guys that if I'm here, I will not be doing that part again. But we still managed to make it work, so that's good. And we got so many people that stuck around with us throughout the whole thing. So shout out to the Nerd Herd. Shout out to your resilience for all this stuff and sticking through our random rambling. Shout out to our moderator, Littlest Nelly, keeping the chat going the entire time for us. Thank you guys so much for your support. Anything else, guys, you got?
No, I mean, Logan Paul just sent about 25 shots to Mayweather, and none of them connected. So I'm excited to dive into that fight after this.
All right, well, let's see how that fight goes. We'll catch you guys later. Same time, same place, the next time we do this thing. Peace.
Oh, yeah. Peace.